ways to make money in this world: employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. There are only 4 ways to make money in this world: employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. And the one you're in decides whether you build wealth or spend your life chasing it. Today I'm going to show you which one you're in, why you're stuck there, and how to cross over to the side that builds wealth. I learned this framework back in August 2017 from a book called Cash Flow Quadrant. But before we break down the 4 quadrants, one story first. Because once you get this story, the quadrants explain themselves. 2 guys, Ed and Bill, live in a small village that has no water. The elders decide to hire them to solve this problem. The first guy, Ed, immediately runs out, buys 2 buckets, and starts carrying water from the lake every single day, morning to sunset. Hard work, good money, the village is happy. Ed is happy. The second guy, Bill, disappears for months. Nobody sees him. Ed is thrilled. No competition. But then Bill comes back with a construction crew, and they build a pipeline directly from the lake to the village. Bill's water is cleaner. It runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it costs 85% less than Ed's water. The village immediately switches. Ed panics, buys more buckets, hires his sons, works nights and weekends. But you cannot compete with a pipeline using buckets. Meanwhile, Bill takes his pipeline to other villages, then cities, then countries. He earns a penny from every bucket delivered, but billions of buckets are delivered every day. He earns money while he sleeps, while he's on vacation, while he's at dinner with his family. Ed works hard his entire life and dies with financial problems. Bill builds once and earns forever. Here is the question to ask yourself now. Am I building a pipeline or am I carrying buckets? Your job is a bucket. Your salary is a bucket. And there's nothing wrong with buckets. We all need them to survive. And let me be open with you. I used to hate my buckets. When I started reading books like this, I would come home from my 9-to-5 job and feel angry. Angry at my job. Angry at my boss. I thought my job was the thing standing between me and success. I thought if I could just quit tomorrow, everything would change magically. I was wrong. My job was not the problem. It was feeding me while I built my pipeline. My salary paid for the rent, so I had a roof over my head while I figured things out. So if you are carrying a bucket right now, listen carefully. Don't hate it. Your bucket is not your enemy. It's buying you the time to build your pipeline. But remember this, a bucket will never make you free, no matter how heavy the bucket is, no matter how fast or how many you carry. Because the moment you stop carrying, the water stops. So carry your bucket with gratitude. Then go home and build your pipeline. That's lesson 1 for you. Now here comes the most important question. Where do you build it? And to answer that, we need to understand the cash flow quadrant. It is a simple drawing. 2 lines, 4 boxes, 1 for each type. On the left side, you have the employee and the self-employed. And on the right, the business owner and the investor. Each quadrant is like a different country. They have their own language, culture, and values. People in each one are motivated by completely different things. Let me show you what I mean. Employee. Picture a software engineer at Google or a marketing manager. High skill, respected career. The employee trades time for a paycheck, and what they value most is security. A steady salary, benefits, a predictable life. Listen to an employee for 5 minutes and you'll hear it. They say things like, I'm looking for a safe job with good pay and great benefits. or I just want something stable. If you've ever said those words out loud or in your head, you're in this quadrant. And look, being an employee is not a bad thing. It's honest work. Many E's are brilliant, hardworking people. I was an employee for years, so I'm not looking down on this quadrant. I know what it feels like. But the problem is your entire income depends on one source, one job, one employer, one decision made by someone else. If that disappears, your income disappears with it. Now, let's talk about the hard part. Taxes. An employee in most Western countries pays somewhere between 35% and 50% of their income in taxes once you add income tax, Social Security, and healthcare. And the cruel part is the government has already taken its cut before the employee gets to spend a dollar. The employee earns, gets taxed, spends what's left. Let's move to the second quadrant, self-employed. A lot of people realize the employee problem, so they make a move. They leave the job, go self-employed, become their own boss. And on paper, it sounds like freedom. No more boss, no more being told what to do. They don't realize they just walked from one trap into a bigger one. Because as an employee, they had one job. Now they have 10 different jobs they have no idea how to do. Invoicing, marketing, selling, accounting, and operations. Picture the average freelancer, the doctor with their own practice, the shop owner, the consultant, working harder than ever, earning well, maybe, but exhausted, because everything still depends on them. This is Ed, the bucket man of our first story. Listen to a self-employed person and you'll hear the common line, if you want it done right, do it yourself. Or, nobody else does it better than me. Or, I can't find good people. The moment you truly believe nobody does it better than you can never step away. You can never scale. You become the business, and the business can never grow bigger than you. The dentist who goes on vacation also sends his income on vacation. Self-employed people often work way more hours than employees and pay roughly the same in taxes, depending on your country, 30 to 50% when you add it all up. Similar to employees, when a self-employed person stops showing up, the money stops too. Business owner. Picture Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, the guy who owns 12 car washes in your city. They are the business owners. The business owner doesn't own a job. They own a system. And that system has people running it for them. A true business owner can leave their business for a year, come back, and find it more profitable than when they left. They don't do the work themselves. They build the machine that does the work. Listen to a real business owner and you'll hear a completely different kind of language. Yeah, I'm looking for a president to run my company. Or, we need to build a better supply chain for that. Or, who can I hire to handle this? Notice how none of those sentences have the word I doing the work. That's the shift. That's the whole game. So ask yourself one question. If I stopped working tomorrow, will my income stop too? If yes, you're still in the S quadrant, no matter what your business card says. A real business runs without you. In our first story, this is Bill, who built the pipeline. The business owner also has a secret weapon, something called OPT, other people's time. You and I have 24 hours in a day. A business owner with 20 employees has 20 times of that. That's how the right side scales past what any one person can do alone. And the taxes are even more interesting. A business owner can legally pay 15% to 25%, sometimes less. Not because they're cheating, because the tax code is written for them. The secret is that businesses don't pay tax on what they earn. They pay tax on what's left after expenses. Earn, spend, pay tax. Compare that to the employee. Earn, pay tax, spend. Same country, same laws, completely different order. Investor. Now picture Warren Buffett, or a real estate investor who owns 50 rental properties. The investor makes money with money. Everyone else earns through effort or systems. Investors earn through ownership. Listen to a real investor and you'll hear something that sounds almost like another language. What's my cash flow on that? Or what's the ROI? Or is that income or capital gains? The investors have their own secret weapon, OPM, other people's money. They use the bank's money, other people's savings, to buy assets that generate returns. They profit from money they never earned. Now, let me show you how absurd this gets with taxes. Because a real investor can pay 0% in taxes. Let me walk you through how. Say Warren Buffett decides to buy a big company. Does he write a check from his own bank account? No. He goes to a bank, borrows the money, buys the company with the bank's cash. Now, pay close attention to what just happened. Borrowed money is not income, so it's not taxable. The interest he pays on that loan is tax deductible, so it actually reduces his taxable income. The company he just bought produces profits, but those profits get reinvested, spent on growth, used to buy more assets. By the time anyone calculates taxable income, there's almost nothing left to tax. Meanwhile, the company grows. His ownership stake grows. He's getting richer every single year without ever triggering a single tax bill. And when he needs cash to live on, he doesn't sell his stock. Selling would mean paying capital gains tax. Instead, he borrows against his assets, more debt, which is not income, and because of that, it's not taxable. They earn, then spend on acquiring income-generating assets, then borrow to live their lifestyle, pay almost no taxes. Let that sink in. An employee working 60 hours a week as a surgeon pays 45% in taxes. An investor who never goes to an office can legally pay close to 0. Same country, same laws, completely different game. The tax code isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. Because governments need people to take risks, start businesses, hire workers, invest capital. An employee doesn't take those risks. So the government rewards the people who take the risks with lower taxes and incentives. Remember our first bucket versus pipeline story? If Bill was the businessman, someone who gave him money to hire construction workers and buy pipes is the investor in his business. So now you know the map. You know which side you want to be on. But knowing where to go isn't the same as getting there. Because moving from the left side to the right is not a small change. It's a full rewiring of your habits, your beliefs, your language, and your identity. It's one of the hardest things you will ever do in your life. So, to make it easier, let me share 7 strategies that I wish someone had given to me 10 years ago. Number 1, stop buying liabilities. Your house is your bank's investment, not yours. Open 2 balance sheets side by side, yours and your bank's. Your mortgage sits in your liability column. The exact same mortgage sits in your bank's asset column. You're the employee. They're the owner. And this isn't just about your mortgage. This is the game of capitalism. Who is indebted to whom? The more people indebted to you, the wealthier you are. The more people you are indebted to, the poorer you are. Every mortgage, every car loan, every credit card balance, every one of them makes you someone's employee. So, how do you flip it? How do you stop being the employee and start being the owner? You stop buying things that take money from you and start buying things that pay you. The first kind is a liability. The second is an asset. That's the entire game. So simple that most people refuse to believe it. I know that some of you are thinking, I don't have money for a rental property. Good, You don't need one. A YouTube video that earns you $50 a month? That's an asset. A book, an online course, a dividend stock, a small share in someone else's business. Real estate is one asset. It's not the only one. And it's definitely not the one you should start with. So look at every monthly payment leaving your account right now. Every single one is a piece of you being rented out to make someone else rich. Your job now is to flip the equation. Spend your money on something that pays you over time, not on something that takes more money from your pocket. That's how you move from the left side to the right side of the quadrant. Number 2, find a mentor. A mentor is someone sitting at the top of the mountain, eating oranges, while you're still at the bottom, scratching your head, trying to figure out how to get up there. If you decided tomorrow you wanted to climb Mount Everest, what would you do first? You'd find someone who has already climbed it, someone who knows which routes are dangerous, which weather patterns kill people, which mistakes the inexperienced always make. You would never say, I'll just figure it out on the way up. But when it comes to money, business, starting a YouTube channel, that is exactly what most of us do. I know it because I did it. I wasted almost 3 years trying to be successful on YouTube. I made every dumb mistake you can imagine. Mistakes I could have easily avoided if I had just put my ego aside and asked for help. Olympic athletes are the best in the world at what they do, and still, every single one of them has a coach. Think about that. The people who are already the best have coaches. The people who've never started a business think they can figure it out alone. That's the whole problem. This is why these days I have no problem paying $1,000 for 1 hour of consultation. I'm buying back years of my life. I'm buying every mistake they already paid for. I'm buying the shortcut. So stop trying to climb the mountain alone. Find someone who's already at the top. Pay them. Learn from them. And if your mountain is building a YouTube channel, you can reach out to me for consultation. I've already paid for those mistakes. Link is in the description. Okay, now that my shameless self-promotion is over, let's get to the next one. Number 3, escape the lifestyle trap. Before you can build anything, you need to stop digging the hole deeper. There's a trap most people never see because they're living inside it. It goes like this. You go to school, get a job, start earning. Suddenly you can afford things you couldn't before. An apartment, a car. Then you meet someone, fall in love, get married. You take a mortgage and buy a house. Then the first child arrives. And now you absolutely cannot afford to lose your job. So you work harder, get promoted, get a raise. And one day it hits you. The more successful you become, the more trapped you are. Every raise brings higher taxes. Every promotion brings less time. Every upgrade to your lifestyle brings more bills. The trap gets tighter the more successful you become. And the scariest part is, this feels completely normal because everyone around you is doing the exact same thing. So the next time you get a raise, before you upgrade anything, ask yourself one question. Am I making my life better? Or am I making my cage bigger? Because every dollar you spend to a bigger lifestyle is a dollar that can't go toward your freedom. Number 4, win the emotional battle. Money is a drug. When you receive money in a certain way, as a salary, as a freelance payment, you get wired to that way. Your nervous system gets addicted to it. And when you try to change, the part of you addicted to the old way fights back hard. It feels like cutting off oxygen. This is why changing quadrants is so emotionally difficult, even for people who completely understand it intellectually. The rational brain knows exactly what to do. The emotional brain won't let you do it. In moments of high emotion, the emotional brain is 24 times more powerful than the rational brain. That's why they say financial IQ is 90% emotional IQ. So here's what to do. Next time you feel that resistance, don't fight it. Just notice it and keep moving anyway. The discomfort isn't a bad sign. It means you're changing. So when it shows up, don't run from it. Name it. This is just the old me fighting back. Then keep going. Number 5, build systems, not products. Let me ask you something. Can you make a better hamburger than McDonald's? Fresh ingredients, quality beef, good bread? Almost everyone says yes. Now, can you build a better business system than McDonald's? That's where most people go silent. This is the trap that kills most entrepreneurs before they even start. They fall in love with their product, spend years perfecting it, and then wonder why they're not growing. Wealth is not built in products. Wealth is built in systems. Next time you go to McDonald's, don't look at the burger. Look at the trucks delivering the ingredients, the training manual that teaches every new employee to say the same words in every country. That is the business. The burger is just the excuse to build it. So whatever you're building, ask yourself, am I building a product or am I building a system? Fall in love with the machine that makes the burger, not just the burger itself. If it can't run without you, you don't have a business. You have a job. Number 6, become a level 4 investor. People always ask, is real estate a good investment? Are stocks good? Is gold good? And the answer is always the same. I don't know. Are you a good investor? Because the asset class is almost irrelevant. A skilled investor makes money in real estate, stocks, commodities, businesses. An unskilled investor loses money in all of them. The investment doesn't determine the outcome. The investor does. There are 5 levels of investors. See if you can recognize yourself. The first 3 levels are where most people live. Level 1 spends more than they earn. Level 2 only saves and loses to inflation every year without realizing. Level 3 hands their money to an expert, hopes for the best, and blames the expert when it goes wrong. The real investor starts at level 4, the professional. The professional takes control, educates themselves, manages their own money, makes mistakes, learns from them, gets smarter. Level 5, the capitalist. Uses other people's money to build assets, has teams, thinks bigger, creates value rather than just captures it. Most so-called investors are on level 3, and then they want to become capitalist. Anyone who jumps from level 3 to level 5 is gambling, not investing. Because if you haven't learned to manage your own money yet, what do you think happens when you start playing with someone else's? You don't just lose your money, you lose theirs too. So, get to level 4. Start making your mistakes right now with your own money. Small mistakes, painful enough to learn from, small enough that they don't destroy you. Because the investor you become at level 4 is the only reason you'll ever survive at level 5. Number 7, when you actually build wealth. The only difference between a rich person and a poor person is what they do in their spare time, not their salary or education, their spare time. I know what some of you are thinking right now. I have a 9 to 5. When exactly am I supposed to do anything extra? Most people think the only way to build wealth is to quit their job, take a massive risk, and bet their family's future on an idea. That's not true. Think about it. 2 people work the same 9 to 5, same office, same paycheck, same 40 hours a week. But what happens in the 14 hours a day, they're not at work. That's where the lives split. One of them comes home, opens a beer, scrolls on their phone, and goes to bed. The other comes home, watches a YouTube video on real estate, sends 3 emails about a side business they're building, and reads for 20 minutes before bed. Fast forward 5 years, same job, same paycheck, completely different lives. Your boss's job is not to make you rich. Your boss's job is to make sure you get your paycheck. Your job is to make yourself rich. When you're at work, work hard. Give them everything. That's the deal you signed. But your future doesn't get built at work. It gets built in the hours around work. Before the work, after the work. On the weekends when everyone else is wasting time. If you work hard on the left side, you work hard forever. If you work hard on the right side, in those small pockets of time around your job, you have a chance of never needing that job again. So stop thinking of your day as work and rest. Start thinking of it as 3 parts: the hours that pay the bills, the hours that build the future, and the hours that recover you for both. If you don't have the second category, you're not building anything. That's it for this video. If you want to see more book summaries like this one, I will put 2 videos
on the screen for you: Increasing Your Financial IQ and Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Thanks for watching. Doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are and a lot to do with how you behave. Let me tell you 2 quick stories to show you what I mean. First, there's the tech executive who invented part of Wi-Fi technology and made millions for multiple companies. Brilliant guy, but his relationship with money was childish. He carried a stack of $100 bills several inches thick, showed it to everyone, bragged about his wealth constantly. One day, he handed a colleague several $1,000s cash and said, "Go buy me some $1,000 gold coins from the jewelry store." When the coins arrived, he and his buddies went to the dock and threw them into the Pacific Ocean,
skipping them like rocks, just for fun. Want to know where he is now? Broke. Completely broke. Now, let's talk about Ronald Reed, a janitor who quietly saved and
invested small amounts his whole life. Never made more than minimum wage. When he died, he had $8 million in the bank. The tech genius had brilliant technical skills, but terrible money behavior. The janitor had simple money behavior that actually worked. So what does this tell us? Finance isn't a hard science like physics. It's a soft skill, built on psychology, emotion, and self-control. Think about it. In what other field can someone with no education and no training outperform someone with the best degrees? You'll never see a high school dropout do better heart surgery than a trained doctor. But in finance, it happens all the time. And here's the great news. If you're an average person, like I am, it means you don't need to be a financial genius to succeed with money. We just need to copy the janitor, not the tech executive. The janitor had a few simple habits. He automated his savings and investing. He avoided spending temptations, and he thought before every purchase. You can start doing the same today. Set up automatic savings and investing. Delete shopping apps from your phone. Wait 3 days before buying anything over $50. So, the first lesson for you is this. If you are serious about fixing your finances, then stop looking for the secret financial strategy. Instead, look in the mirror and fix the money habits and behaviors that are keeping you broke. Lesson number 2, the Ferrari nobody cares about. You see a guy driving a Ferrari. What's your first thought? Wow, that guy is so cool. Wrong. Your first thought is actually, wow, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool. Here's the brutal truth. When you see someone driving an expensive car, you rarely think about the driver. You think about yourself driving that car. The guy in the Ferrari thinks everyone is looking at him with admiration. They're not. They're looking at the car and imagining themselves in it. He is invisible. This happens with everything. Expensive clothes, big houses, fancy watches. You think these things make people respect you, but most people don't admire your stuff. They just start wanting it for themselves. You might spend $60,000 on a car thinking it will make you look successful. But the person you're trying to impress is probably thinking, I need to get a car like that. Not, that person is amazing. Even worse, the people whose respect you actually want will judge you negatively for flashy spending, because they know that an expensive car usually means expensive debt. So, the lesson for you is this. Next time you want to buy something expensive to impress others, stop and ask yourself, am I buying this because I need it or because I want others to think something about me? If it's the second one, don't buy it. Take that money and put it towards something that actually matters, your freedom. Nobody cares about your stuff as much as you think they do. Lesson 3. Most of your investments will fail, and that's okay. Here's something that will mess with your head. Warren Buffett owned 400 to 500 stocks in his lifetime. He made most of his money on just 10 of them. That means 98% of his investments were mediocre or bad, and he's considered the greatest
investor ever. This isn't just Buffett. This is how everything works. Most things fail. A few things succeed wildly. Those few winners make up for all the losers. Amazon has tried hundreds of products. Most failed. But Amazon Web Services and Prime make so much money that all the failures don't matter. Most people don't understand this. They think good investors are right most of the time, but that is not the case. Good investors are wrong most of the time, but their wins are so big, they cover all their losses. So the key lesson for you is this. Regardless of what you are doing in business or investing, accept that most of your ideas will fail. Most of your YouTube videos will get 100 views, but one viral hit will get you 50,000 subscribers. Most of your marketing campaigns will fail, but one breakthrough will pay for everything. This is how success works. You can't predict which attempt will be the winner, so you need to keep taking shots. Most people quit too early because they think being wrong most of the time means they're bad at what they're doing. But being wrong most of the time is the game.
The winners aren't the people who are right more often. They're the people who can handle being wrong long enough for their few big wins to pay off. Lesson 4. The power of time. Warren Buffett is worth $84 billion. Here's what will blow your mind. $81.5 billion of his wealth came after he turned 65. You heard that right. The world's greatest investor made almost all of his money when he was old. Buffett's skill is investing, but his secret is time. He started investing when he was 10. That's the magic of compound interest. Your money earns returns, and then
those returns earn returns. Given enough time, the numbers get ridiculous. Most people think investing is about picking the right stocks or timing the market. It's not. It's about giving your money time to compound. Every year you wait to start is a year of growth
you'll never get back. You don't need to be brilliant. You just need to start early and never stop. If you haven't started yet, don't worry, you still can. There's an old saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Lesson 5. You are not crazy. Your friend thinks you're insane for wanting to quit your job and start something. Your parents think you're crazy for not appreciating your stable paycheck. Your girlfriend thinks
you're nuts for saving money instead of going out every weekend. Here's the truth. You're not crazy, but neither are they. Every financial decision you make seems perfectly logical to you. Your friend grew up watching his dad get laid off from a safe job,
so he values security. Your parents lived through recessions, so they fear risk. Your girlfriend sees people with steady paychecks living well, so she wants that lifestyle. You grew up seeing entrepreneurs online living freely, so you chase that dream. None of you are wrong. You're all making decisions based on what you've experienced. The problem? You're judging each other's money decisions without understanding their background. Your parents think you're reckless because they remember when
jobs were actually secure. Your friend thinks you're naive because he's seen businesses fail. But here's where it gets dangerous. You start doubting yourself because everyone around you thinks you're making terrible choices. You begin questioning your goals because the
people closest to you don't understand them. This kind of doubt will kill your dreams. The solution is simple. Stop explaining your money decisions to other people. When someone questions why you're saving aggressively or not spending on their priorities, just say, that works for you, this works for me, and change the subject. Don't try to convince them. don't justify your choices. Their fears are based on their experiences, not your future. Lesson 6. Greed, the silent wealth killer. Rajat Gupta had everything. Born in poverty in India, he became CEO of McKinsey, the world's most prestigious consulting firm. By 2008, he was worth $100 million. That's never work again money. That's your great-grandchildren never work again money. But Gupta wanted more. He sat on Goldman Sachs' board and saw billionaires everywhere. So he started insider trading. He'd learn about secret deals in board meetings, then call his hedge fund buddy with the tips. He made $17 million from insider trading, on top of his $100 million. For what? He went from incredibly rich to slightly more incredibly rich. Then he got caught. Reputation destroyed, and he went to prison. Here is the brutal truth. The hardest financial skill isn't making money. It's knowing when to stop trying to make more. Warren Buffett put it perfectly. To make money, they didn't have and didn't need. They risked what they did have and did need. And that's foolish. This isn't just about billionaires. You do this too. You have a stable job, but chase a risky side hustle that could get you fired. You have a solid investment portfolio, but gamble on crypto. Before making any financial decision, ask yourself, am I risking what I have and need for what I don't have and don't need? If yes, don't do it. Know when you have enough. Lesson 7. Luck. Bill Gates went to the only high school in the world with a computer. 1 in a million odds. His best friend, Kent Evans, was just as smart, just as driven, had the same vision. Kent could have been a Microsoft co-founder. But Kent died in a mountaineering accident before graduation. Also, 1 in a million odds. Same luck, same odds, opposite results. You think your success is all skill. When things go right, you feel like a genius. When they go wrong, you feel like a failure. But here's the truth. You're not either one. You're underestimating how much luck is involved. Luck plays a bigger role than you think. That promotion only happened because your coworker quit. That job opportunity came because someone recommended you at the right time. But here's the thing about luck. It swings both ways. Good luck can make you rich. Bad luck can make you broke. Most people prepare for neither. They assume good times will last forever and bad times will never come. The people who build real wealth understand this. You can't control luck, but you can control how long you survive when bad luck hits. If you have enough money saved, you can ride out the bad times and be ready when good times return. Start saving $50 every week for bad luck. Call it your emergency fund or things happen fund, whatever makes you actually do it. Because when bad luck hits, and it will, you'll survive long enough for good luck to find you again. The people who get wiped out are the ones who never planned for anything going wrong. Lesson 8. The trader who had everything and lost it all. Jesse Livermore made the equivalent of $3 billion in one day during the 1929 stock market crash. He was the richest man in America. 4 years later, he was broke and took his own life. How do you go from $3 billion to broke in 4 years? Easy. You confuse getting money with keeping money. Getting money and keeping money are totally different skills. Getting money requires risk, optimism, and putting yourself out there. Keeping money requires the opposite: humility, fear, and accepting that what you made can disappear just as fast. People respect hustle, but they overlook survival, the boring, cautious part that actually keeps you free. Staying rich means you prepare for the unexpected. Avoid putting it all on the line. Buffett's not just great because he's smart. He's great because he never blew up. He never started all over again. Most people think if your portfolio goes down by 50%, you just need a 50% gain to get back. But that's wrong. You need a 100% gain just to break even. That's why protecting what you've built matters more than chasing what you don't have. Lesson for you is this: get bold to build wealth. But once you're ahead, shift to protection mode. Lesson 9. The one thing money actually buys. Money doesn't buy happiness. You've heard that a million times. But money does buy something more valuable than happiness: control over your time. The ability to wake up and say, I can do whatever I want today, is worth more than any car, house, or vacation. It's the highest dividend money pays. Most people use money wrong. They buy bigger houses, nicer cars, expensive clothes. All that stuff just creates more problems. What they should be buying is freedom. Freedom from saying yes to things they hate because they need the money. Freedom from working weekends. Freedom from checking email on vacation. Think about it. What makes you happier? A new iPhone? Or sleeping in on Monday because you don't need your job? The people who figure this out early are the ones who win. They live below their means, not because they're cheap, but because they're buying something more valuable than stuff. Options. Here's what you need to understand. Every dollar you spend on impressing other people is a dollar that can't buy you freedom later. Start tracking every dollar you spend trying to look successful. Expensive coffee, brand name clothes, eating out to show off. Add it up for 1 month. That number? That's how much your ego costs. Now, imagine putting that money toward freedom instead of status. Lesson 10. Wealth is what you don't see. There was a guy named Roger who drove a Porsche to the hotel where the author worked as a valet. Everyone thought Roger was rich. Then one day he showed up in a beat-up Honda. Next week, same Honda. The author says, one day I asked what happened to his Porsche. Repossessed, he said. Turns out Roger was broke. He just had an expensive car payment. Meanwhile, Ronald Reed, the janitor, walked around in old clothes and drove a rusty truck. He had $8 million when he died. Nobody saw that coming. Here's what most people don't understand. Wealth is what you don't see. Wealth is the cars not purchased, the clothes not bought, the restaurants not visited, the upgrades declined. Real wealth is invisible because it's just money sitting in account, growing quietly. We judge wealth by what people show us, but what they show us is often the opposite of wealth. It's spending, and spending money means you no longer have that money. The person driving the $100,000 Mercedes might be wealthy, or they might just be someone who spent $100,000 they didn't have. You can't tell the difference by looking. Meanwhile, the person driving the 10-year-old Toyota might be broke, or they might have $2 million in index funds and just don't care about cars. Real wealth gives you options. Fake wealth gives you payments. Real wealth is invisible. Fake wealth is loud. Every month, look at your bank account and ask, am I getting richer or just looking richer? If you're buying things to appear wealthy, you're moving away from actual wealth. Lesson 11. The one wealth rule everyone ignores. Most people think getting rich is about earning more money. Wrong. Getting rich is about spending less money than you make. That's it. That's the whole secret. You can make $200,000 a year and be broke if you spend $210,000. You can make $40,000 a year and get rich if you spend $30,000. It's not rocket science, but somehow everyone misses this. You have more control over your spending than your income. Your boss controls your salary. The economy controls job opportunities, but you control every dollar that leaves your bank account. Think about it like this. There are two ways to have more money at the end of the month. Make $1,000 more or spend $1,000 less. Making $1,000 more means asking for a raise, finding a better job, or starting a side hustle. All hard. Spending $1,000 less means skipping some restaurants, buying a cheaper car, or moving to a smaller place. Much easier. Saving money is like getting a raise that never gets taxed. If you save $100, you keep $100. If you earn an extra $100, you might keep $70 after taxes. The people who get rich aren't the ones who earn the most. They're the ones who save the most. Income gets you started. Savings rate gets you wealthy. So, look at your last month's spending. Find $200 you spent on stuff you didn't really need, maybe eating out, subscriptions you forgot about, or impulse purchases. Now, set up an automatic transfer of $200 from checking to savings every month. You just gave yourself a $2,400 annual raise without asking your boss for anything. Lesson 12. You don't need to be rational, just reasonable. In the early 1900s, a doctor named Julius Wagner-Jauregg won the Nobel Prize for curing syphilis. His method? Injecting patients with malaria to give them a fever hot enough to kill the syphilis. It worked, but it was insane. Some patients died from the malaria, but it was the best option they had. Here's the weird part. We now know fevers help fight infection, so technically giving people fevers was the smart thing to do, but no parent today wants their kid to have a fever. Even though fevers help, they hurt. So we give kids medicine to stop fevers. Money works the same way. The mathematically perfect choice and the choice you can actually live with are often different. Harry Markowitz won the Nobel Prize for creating the perfect investment formula. But when asked how he invested his own money, he said, "I split it 50-50 between stocks and bonds because I didn't want to regret whatever happened." That wasn't what his math said to do, but it helped him sleep at night. This is called being reasonable instead of rational. Maybe you pay off your low-interest loans early, not because it's optimal, but because it lets you sleep better. That's not dumb, that's reasonable. If you've been beating yourself up for not following the perfect financial plan, stop. You're not a spreadsheet. You're a human with feelings, fears, and dreams. The best financial strategy isn't the one that looks perfect on paper. It's the one you can stick with when markets crash and you're scared. Pick investments you can hold when they drop 30%. Sleep at night matters more than squeezing out an extra 1% return. Lesson 13. Why history won't save you. The 2008 financial crisis was unlike anything since the 1930s. COVID shutting down the world was totally new. But we keep using old past data to make new predictions. It's like trying to predict earthquakes by studying past earthquakes. The big one that destroys everything is always the one nobody saw coming. Here's what's really wild. 15 billion people lived in the 19th and 20th centuries. But if just 7 people had never been born, Hitler, Stalin, Edison, Bill Gates, and a few others, the entire world would be completely different today. That's how much random events control everything. A few crazy things happen and suddenly all your historical data is useless. Every financial disaster starts with someone saying, "That's never happened before, so it never will." The solution isn't to predict the unpredictable. It's to prepare for anything. This means build a margin of safety. Expect the unexpected. Don't run your finances on max capacity. Because the world won't ask if you're ready. It'll just punch you in the face. So, always leave room for life to surprise you. Things that have never happened before happen all the time. The only certain thing in life is uncertainty. Lesson 14. The smartest people always have a plan B. Pilots carry extra fuel. Your car has a spare tire. And smart people always have backup plans. But most people don't do this with money. They plan for everything to go perfectly. I'll definitely get that raise. My business will definitely take off. Then reality hits. You don't get the raise, your business struggles, the market crashes, and suddenly you're broke because you bet everything on your perfect plan. Here's what successful people understand. You can make all the right moves and still get crushed by bad luck. You can be the best employee and still get laid off. You can have the best business idea and still fail because of bad timing. You can pick the right investments and still need money during a crash. The winners aren't the ones who predict the future perfectly. They're the ones who survive when their predictions are wrong. So, start building your survival fund today. Calculate 6 months of your basic expenses. Put $100 every month toward that number until you hit it. Yep, it's boring money that just sits there. But boring money is what keeps you in the game when exciting plans fall apart. Lesson 15. You will change. The author says, I knew a guy in high school who wanted to be a doctor more than anything. No money, no connections, terrible grades. Everyone said it was impossible. But he worked harder than anyone. He finally became a doctor. When I talked to him recently, the first words out of his mouth, awful career. Awful career, man. The stress, the hours, the lawsuits, everything he didn't think about at 18 when he was dreaming about becoming a doctor. Here's the problem. People are terrible at predicting what they'll want in the future. At 18, you think working 80-hour weeks sounds exciting. At 35 with kids, it sounds like hell. Psychologists call this the end of history illusion. You think you'll basically be the same person forever, just with more money. But you won't. Your priorities will change. Most financial advice assumes you'll want the same thing for 40 years, but you won't. The career that seems perfect at 22 might make you miserable at 42. This is why locking yourself into rigid financial plans can backfire. The future version of you might want fewer things or different things entirely. So, the lesson for you is this. Stay flexible. Leave room to adapt. Don't overcommit to long-term goals without checkpoints. Wealth is freedom, not just from poverty, but from past versions of yourself. Build a life that lets you pivot. That's real power. Lesson 16. Everyone's playing a different game. You think everyone investing in the stock market is playing the same game. They're not. Some people are day traders trying to make money in the next hour. Some are retirees trying to make money over the next 20 years. Some are pension funds trying to make money over the next 50 years. But they're all trading the same stocks at the same prices. This creates problems. The day trader thinks Tesla at $800 is cheap because it might hit $850 by lunch. The retiree thinks that Tesla at $800 is insane because the company barely makes a profit. Who's right? Both. They're just playing different games with different rules. Here's where it gets dangerous. You start taking advice from people playing a different game than you. The day trader on YouTube telling you to buy crypto is probably planning to sell it next week. You're planning to hold it for years. His strategy might work for him and destroy you. This happens everywhere. Your broke friend tells you investing is gambling because his dad lost money in 2008. But his dad was day trading individual stocks. You're buying index funds for retirement. Same investments, different games, different outcomes. Before you take anyone's financial advice, ask yourself, what game are they playing? Filter every piece of money advice through this question. Is this person playing the same game I am? If not, ignore their advice. Lesson 17, the price of getting rich. Getting rich isn't free. It has a price, but the price isn't obvious. Stocks make about 10% per year over time. Sounds great, right? Here's the catch. 94% of the time, you lose money. Think about that. For almost the entire time you own stocks, you're watching your money go down on most days. Even in a good year where you end up with more money, you'll watch your account drop on most individual days. That's the price of good investment returns. Fear, stress, doubt, and watching your money disappear for months at a time. Most people try to avoid paying this price. They sell when markets drop, trying to cut their losses. Then they buy back in when prices recover, trying to get back in. They want the returns without the volatility. But that's like trying to get a discount at the store without paying anything. Think of volatility like admission to an amusement park. You could sneak in without paying, but you'll probably get caught and kicked out. Or you can pay the price and enjoy the rides. The key is changing how you think about losses. Don't see them as penalties for making mistakes. See them as fees for getting something valuable. Once you accept this, everything changes. You stop looking for easy. You start respecting the cost of staying in the game. Remember, if volatility bothers you, you have two choices. Accept smaller returns from safer investments, or learn to see market drops as the price you pay for life-changing wealth. Lesson 18. 6 rules that actually work. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need to predict the future. You just need to follow a few basic principles that work for normal people. First, be humble when things go well and forgiving when they go wrong. Success and failure both have more to do with luck than most people admit. Second, save money. Not for a specific goal, but just to save. Savings without a purpose gives you options when life surprises you. And life will surprise you. Third, manage your money in a way that helps you sleep at night. The investment strategy that looks perfect on paper doesn't matter if you can't stick with it when it drops 30%. Fourth, increase your time horizon. Time is the most powerful force in investing. Most people think about quarters. Rich people think about decades. Fifth, become comfortable with a lot of things going wrong. You can be wrong half the time and still make a fortune if your winners are big enough. Sixth, use money to gain control over your time. Not having control over your time is the biggest drag on happiness that money can solve. These aren't complicated, but simple doesn't mean easy. The hard part is actually doing them when emotions are running high. Write these 6 rules on a piece of paper. Keep it in your wallet. When you're about to make a big money decision, read them first. Lesson 19. The stories we tell ourselves. Between 2007 and 2009, something weird happened. The economy lost $16 trillion and 10 million jobs. But here's the strange part. Nothing physical changed. Same factories, same roads, same computers, same knowledge. If an alien visited Earth in 2007 and came back in 2009, he'd basically see the same world. So what happened? We changed the story we told ourselves about the economy. In 2007, the story was, house prices always go up. The economy is strong. In 2009, the story was, everything is collapsing. Nobody knows what they're doing. We're all doomed. Same world, different story. This happens to you personally, too. The story you tell yourself has a big impact on your finances and life. You might have the same job, same skills, same opportunities today as you did last month. But if you tell yourself a story that nothing is working or I'll never get ahead, you'll act differently. You'll take fewer risks, spend less money, look for fewer opportunities. Your financial reality is shaped more by the stories in your head than the numbers in your bank account. Write down the story you tell yourself about money. Is it, I'm bad with money? Or, I'm getting better with money every month? Is it, rich people got lucky? Or, rich people did things I can learn? Your story becomes your reality. So make sure it's a story that helps you instead of hurts you. Lesson 20. Why bad news sells better than good news. Turn on the news. What do you see? Wars, crashes, disasters, scandals. Turn on financial news. What do you hear? Market might crash. Recession coming. Your retirement is doomed. Here is what you don't hear. Economy grows 3% this year, like it does most years. Stock market goes up, like it does most decades. Most people's lives get slowly better over time. Why? Because optimism is boring. Pessimism is exciting. If someone says, everything will probably be fine, you shrug and keep scrolling. But if someone says something negative about the stock you bought, you will stop everything and listen to every single word he has to say. Matt Ridley once wrote, "If you say the world has been getting better, you may well get away with being called naive. If you say catastrophe is coming, you may expect a genius award." This messes with your investing. You hear 10 scary stories for every good story. You think scary things happen 10 times more often than good things. But that's not reality. That's just what gets attention. Your brain is wired to pay attention to threats. That kept your ancestors alive when tigers were chasing them. But it makes you a terrible investor when you're constantly worried about financial tigers that probably aren't there. So, stop watching financial news for 30 days. Unfollow the doom and gloom Twitter accounts. Instead of getting daily doses of fear, check your investments once per month. You'll realize the world isn't ending nearly as often as the news claims. Lesson 21. What you should do with your money. The author says, "I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do with your money, but I'll tell you what to do with mine." His goal isn't to get the highest returns. It's independence. He wants to wake up every day and do what he wants, with whom he wants. He and his wife live well below their means. They could afford a bigger house, nicer cars, expensive vacations. But they don't want them badly enough to give up their independence for them. They own their own house without a mortgage. Housel says this is probably the worst financial decision they've ever made, but the best money decision they've ever made. Financially, they should have invested that money in stocks. Emotionally, owning their house outright makes them feel independent. They keep about 20% of their money in cash, way more than most financial advisors recommend. But they never want to be forced to sell investments when they need money. Cash is boring, but it keeps them free. Every financial decision they make revolves around one question: does this help us sleep better at night? If the answer is no, they don't do it. This approach works for them. It might not work for you. The point isn't to copy what he does. The point is to figure out what you want money to do for you. Then build a plan around that. Your plan should be simple enough that you can stick with it for decades, flexible enough that you can adjust it as you change, and boring enough that you're not tempted to mess with it every time the market moves. This was the last lesson. Here is the quick recap of all 21 lessons we covered. 1. Money success is about behavior, not intelligence. The Wi-Fi genius who went broke spending foolishly while a minimum wage janitor saved $8 million. 2. When you see someone's Ferrari, you're not admiring them, you're imagining yourself driving it. So stop buying expensive things to impress others. 3. Even the best investors are wrong most of the time. Buffett failed on 98% of his stocks, but the few big wins made him rich. So keep taking shots. 4. Time beats skill in investing. Buffett made most of his $84 billion after age 65 because he started at 10, so start investing early. 5. Your crazy money decisions make sense based on your experiences. Stop letting others' fear based on their past control your financial future. 6. Greed destroys wealth. A CEO with $100 million, never work again money, went to prison trying to make $17 million more. So know when you have enough. 7. Luck swings both ways. Bill Gates got lucky with the only computer in school. His friend died in an accident. So save for bad luck because it will hit. 8. Getting money and keeping money are different skills. A trader made $3 billion, then lost everything in 4 years. So survival beats success. 9. Money buys time control, not happiness. Freedom from needing a job matters more than any expensive purchase. 10. Real wealth is invisible. The Porsche driver was broke with car payments while the janitor had millions hidden away. 11. The only wealth rule that matters. Spend less than you earn. You control spending more than income. 12. Be reasonable, not rational. Even the Nobel Prize winner invested 50-50 for peace of mind instead of following his own perfect formula. 13. History won't predict the future. The biggest events are always unprecedented. So prepare for anything instead of relying on past data. 14. Always have backup plans. Calculate 6 months' expenses and save for it because perfect plans always break. 15. You will change completely over decades. Stay flexible instead of locking into rigid 40-year financial plans. 16. Everyone's playing different investment games. Day trader advice will destroy long-term investors, so only take advice from people playing your game. 17. Volatility is the admission price for wealth. You'll lose money 94% of days, even in good years. Accept it as the fee for getting rich. 18. 6 rules that work. Be humble with wins, save without goals, sleep well, think decades, expect failures, buy time control. 19. The story in your head shapes your money reality. I'm bad with money becomes true. I'm learning becomes growth. 20. Bad news gets attention while good news gets ignored. Stop watching daily financial doom. The world isn't ending as much as news claims. 21. Focus on independence over optimization. The author owns his house debt-free and keeps 20% cash because sleeping well beats perfect returns. That's it. Hope it was a useful video. Thanks for watching. I looked at every business book I have ever read in the last 9 years. I threw away the garbage and picked the few good books. And from those, I pulled the absolute most important things for a small business. I turned all of it into one simple map. Just 8 parts. From your first idea all the way to a business that pays you while you walk in the park on a Tuesday morning. Let's start with part 1, idea validation. Imagine spending 3 months building a website. You pay for a logo, you set up a company, you finally launch your big business idea. And then, crickets. Nobody buys. You just wasted 3 months of your life. 90% of beginners blow up their business before they even start. Why? Because they get the order wrong. They think the order is idea, build, sell. That is a trap. Before you spend a single dollar or waste a single minute building something, you have to let the market decide if your idea is actually good. You have to validate it. If you tell a friend about your idea, they will say, "Wow, that's amazing. You should do it." Do not trust them. Your mom, your friends, your wife, they will all lie to you about your business idea. Not because they're bad people, but because they are polite. Here's what you do instead. You ask for the money within 48 hours. Noah Kagan calls this the 48-hour money challenge. Get 3 paying customers in 2 days. That's it. In his book, $1 Million Weekend, he tells the story of his friend Boris. Boris had an idea for a healthy meal delivery service. He didn't build a website. He didn't design a logo. He sent one email to his close friends and asked, "Will you pay me $20 right now to deliver healthy meals next Friday?" 5 of them paid. As you can see, Boris didn't start with a logo. He validated his idea by asking for money straight away. And here's another example on how to validate your business idea. Imagine you want to start a dog walking business. You go to a few dog owners in your neighborhood. You pitch them. And guess what? They don't want a dog walker because they love walking their own dog. That's the best part of their day. But you keep talking and you find out something else. They need someone to watch their dog while they're on vacation. They'll pay you $60 a day for that. 3 say yes on the spot. Look, you started with a dog walking business idea, but you end up with a dog sitting business instead. Same neighborhood, same dogs, completely different product. And you only found this idea works because you asked for money. Not for feedback, but money. Straight away from the beginning. Now, here's another way to validate your idea. Do it online. Post it on social media. Use Facebook Marketplace or eBay or whatever free selling site people use where you live. Don't create your own website yet. Don't create a detailed business plan whatsoever. Just a post and a payment link. And see if there are people who really want to buy what you're selling. Get at least 3 real payments before you go all in with that idea. If they say, I'll buy it later, that's just a nice way of saying no. And now, what if no one's buying? Let's say you've asked 3 people and all 3 said no. Most beginners take that as a sign they should quit. They pack up the idea, feel sorry for themselves, and stop. Don't do that, because a no is not the end. It's data. Use these 4 questions to turn rejection into a new opportunity. First, ask them, why not? Second question, who's the one person you know who'd actually love this? Third question you can ask, what would make you buy this right now? And lastly, ask, how much would you pay for that instead? Finding the right price is a bit difficult when you first start. If you can get potential customers to tell you the actual amount they'd pay, that could give you a better starting point. Now, what if you ask and ask and ask, and nobody wants what you're offering? That's still a win. Why? Because you didn't waste tons of time and money on the wrong idea. You found out in 3 days, not 3 years. That's a gift. So pick another business idea and go get 3 people to pay you. That's how you validate your business idea before going all in. Part 2, positioning. Let's say you decided to start the business. Maybe you open a coffee shop or sell a course online. For a few months, life is good. Then you look around. There are 10 other guys doing the exact same thing you do, and they charge the exact same price. So how do you get people to buy from you? You drop your price a little. Then they drop theirs. So you drop yours again. Now you make less money on every sale. You have to work twice as hard just to end up exactly where you started. That's a price war. And in a price war, nobody wins. You just bleed slower than the next guy. Most people think there's only one way out of that fight. They think you have to find some magic place where there's no competition, an empty blue ocean, all to yourself. That is a myth. The real move is to stay in the crowded market, but refuse to play their game. You change the rules so the competition doesn't even matter anymore. Here are 4 simple questions you need to ask yourself. Number 1, eliminate. What can you just get rid of? Most businesses keep doing stuff just because everybody else is doing it. Number 2, reduce. What can you make much smaller or simpler than normal, especially things that aren't that important for your customers? Number 3, raise. What can you make better than everybody else? And number 4, create. What is something new you can offer that nobody has offered before? That's it. 4 questions. First 2 helps to reduce your costs, and the last 2 create more value for the customer. Let me show you how this works in real life. Let's go back to that coffee shop. Say it's yours. Right now, every cafe on your street is exactly the same. Decent coffee, a few cakes, comfy chairs, nice music. You are all fighting for the exact same people, and your only weapon is lowering your price. Instead, aim those 4 questions at one guy nobody cares about. The guy who's not there for the coffee. He's there to work. The student, the freelancer, the guy looking for a plug for his laptop. Eliminate. Kill the massive cake display. This guy is not there for the cake, and he does not want to have small talk with the barista. He wants to grab a simple coffee and be left alone to work. So, eliminate all of it. Reduce. The big soft couches everyone fights over, he doesn't want a couch. He wants a real desk. So, shrink the lounge area. Raise. Give him the stuff he actually needs. The fastest internet in town. A power plug at every single seat. Big tables. A chair that won't kill his back after 3 hours. Create. Now do the one thing no other cafe does. Stop making him buy a coffee every hour just to keep his seat. Charge him $10 for the whole day. Coffee included. Tell him straight, stay as long as you want. This is your office. Look at what you just built. A totally different business. The cafe next door is not your competition anymore. You are now competing with expensive shared office spaces that charge $300 a month. But you let him pay by the day, only when he shows up. Now, look closer at what you did to your costs. You killed the fancy coffee, dumped the cakes, removed the couches. All the things that make a normal cafe expensive to run are gone. You probably think the fastest internet and the good desks cost a fortune. They don't. The most expensive part of a cafe is the skilled staff and the food that goes bad. You cut the heavy stuff and you added the cheap stuff. You walked away from the price war and your business is now cheaper to run. You give the customer more and it costs you less, both at the same time. That is the whole game. You might be thinking, I'm not opening a cafe. It doesn't matter. The cafe is just the simplest example I could find. So do one thing tonight. Take a piece of paper, write down everything your competitors do. Price, speed, the free water by the door, all of it. This is like freezing your competition and taking a photo. Now you can finally see the game everyone else is playing. Then go down that list. Ask the 4 questions. What can you eliminate, reduce, raise, create? This is how you stop being one of 10. This is how you become the only one. Part 3, premium offer. If I offered you a brand new Ferrari for $10,000, you'd find the money today, even if you had to borrow it. That's exactly how your customers should feel about your offer. You create an offer so good that people feel stupid to say no. Here are 3 steps to build such an offer. It's from Alex Hormozi's book, $100 Million Offers. Number 1, sell the outcome, not the product. Let's say you sell a weight loss program. Look, nobody wants a 12-week program. They want to look in the mirror and like what they see. They want to fit back into the old jeans and take off their shirt at the beach without worrying how people might judge them. That feeling is what they're paying for. So sell that. And one more thing here. They also have to believe you can actually get them there. That's what before and after photos are for. Real reviews or your own proof. Show them the result, then prove you can deliver it. Number 2, make it feel fast and easy. Here's where most beginners go wrong. They just shout bigger promises. Lose 30 pounds. Make 6 figures. But anyone can shout a bigger number. It's easy and everybody's already doing it. The pros do it differently instead. They make it faster and they make it easier. Look at this. The supplement industry is twice the size of the entire gym industry. Twice. Why? Because swallowing a pill is easier and faster than dragging yourself to the gym every day. Same dream, less effort. And people happily pay more for it. So don't just make the dream bigger, make the path to it shorter and simpler. But here's the thing. What if your product takes time to work? For example, in a weight loss program, people won't get results overnight. Here's how you fix that. Give them a more aggressive diet right at the beginning. Something that shows results fast. Why? Because you want them to have a big, fast, emotional win so they commit to the long term. This is actually backed by science. People who get a win early on are way more likely to stick around than those who don't. Give them that quick win in the first week, and they will stay to the end. Number 3, stack your offer. Don't just sell one thing. Solve every single problem standing between your customer and that final result. Back to weight loss. What are your customers' problems? They don't know what to buy at the store. They don't know how to cook healthy meals. They've got no time to exercise. So you solve all of it. A grocery list with a recorded grocery video tour. A video where you cook 30 recipes, each one under 10 minutes. A snack guide, a meal plan for the week. A recorded video of 30 workouts under 20 minutes that they can do at home. No equipment needed. All of these in videos and PDFs. Then you stack the offer. The grocery video tour and guide, $299. The cooking masterclass, $399. The follow-along workout plan, $499. That is almost $1,200 in value, and you sell the whole thing for $399. That's an offer that's hard to say no to. They'll stop comparing you to the other guy because they see that you can fix all the problems that they had to fit back into their old jeans. Look, there's one more thing I want to highlight. As a beginner, you might be afraid to charge premium, but you have to do it. Here's why. First, when you charge premium, your customer values it more. There was research where people were given 3 glasses of wine. Each glass had a price on it, $3, $6, and $18. They had to drink and rate it. Guess what happened? They rated the most expensive one as the best. The second was the second best, and the third, the cheapest, was rated as a cheap wine. But here's the thing. They didn't know that the researchers put the same wine in those 3 glasses. The takeaway is simple. When people see expensive things, they'll think the quality is higher. Second, paying more makes people care. Let's say you run a therapy program. For it to work, your client has to show up and push through the uncomfortable parts. If they paid you almost nothing the first time it gets hard, they quit. But when someone pays good money, they're invested. They do the work and they get the results. So don't be scared of the high price. Charge what it's worth. All right, now you have a good offer with a premium price. But nobody knows you exist. We'll solve that in part 4, marketing. When I first started on YouTube, I was getting maybe 10, 20, sometimes 50 views a day. I knew the videos were good, but views stayed low for a long time. So I figured my problem was marketing. To improve this, I started to share links to my videos everywhere. I posted it on Facebook groups, LinkedIn. I used Facebook ads and YouTube ads. But nothing worked. Then one day I sat down and looked at my analytics, and I saw something that made me feel like an idiot. Almost all my views, like 90%, were coming from people who just found me on YouTube itself. And there I was, spending 90% of my time begging people on Facebook and LinkedIn to click my links. So I killed everything and put 100% of my focus into just understanding what works on YouTube. And that was when things changed. Look, most small business owners make this exact same mistake. They spend their limited time and money on 5 platforms at once. A few weeks ago, a guy came to me for a one-on-one consultation. He says, "Hey, we want to launch a YouTube channel. You seem to understand the platform. Can you help us?" But as we talked, it comes out that most of his clients are already on LinkedIn, and he's actually doing pretty well there. He just feels like he has to be on YouTube too. Think about how crazy that is. Instead of doubling down on the one thing that is actually working, he wants to start from zero on a platform he knows nothing about. Of course, my advice to him was to forget about YouTube and just focus on LinkedIn. So, in your business, stop trying to juggle 5 platforms at once. Pick one, just one channel. Find the place that works and dominate that platform. All right, you've picked your one platform. That was the easy part. Now the hard part is, who do you actually sell to? And here's the catch. Picking one customer group means dropping everyone else. I know firing your customers sounds insane, but give me a second and you'll see why it's the smartest move you can make. Imagine it's your wedding day and you need a photographer. Are you going to hire the guy who shoots every event or the pro who specializes in wedding photography? Of course, you'll choose the wedding photographer because they understand your needs better and they know exactly when to capture the perfect shot. So, why do we try to sell to everyone? When you try to please everyone, you become the safe option nobody's excited about. Here's how you fix it. Stop chasing every customer. Find one group who are perfect for you. Let me show you a simple way to find it. Take every type of customer you serve right now and take a look at these 3 questions. Score each one from 1 to 10. First question, do you actually enjoy working with these people? Life's too short to spend it with clients you can't stand. Second, do they have a bleeding neck problem? Meaning, are they in so much pain they need what you sell right now? And finally, the third question, do they actually have money? Can they afford your prices without thinking twice? Don't spend time negotiating with people who can't afford to pay you. Then add up the score for these 3 questions. Whichever group gets the highest score wins. Drop the rest and give that winning group 100% of your focus. Now that you have your winning group, you need to study them until it gets a little creepy. You need to understand their fears, their goals, and their late night worries better than they do. When I started to take YouTube more seriously, I sat down and created a full profile of my ideal viewer, their biggest fears, motivation, goals, and all that. I finished the document and sent it to one of my teammates who was also a viewer of my channel. Then I asked him, "Hey, is this you?" A few minutes later, he replied, "This is creepy. Where did you get this info?" That is exactly the level you need to reach. You should be able to describe their problems, their pain, their secret wants, to the extent they start asking, "How did you know?" So, to recap, pick one platform and dominate it. Sell to one type of customer, someone you like, who badly needs you, and who can actually pay you well. Then study them until it gets creepy. Part 5, Sales. You know, there was a time when I got hired from almost every interview I went to. And look, I'm not bragging. I definitely wasn't the smartest person in the room. My resume wasn't anything special. But I was doing one thing that nobody else did. Before every interview, I did my homework. Not on myself, but on them. I researched about the company. I'd talked to a few people who already worked in the department I was applying to, and I was looking for one specific thing. What's broken in this job? The one that keeps the manager awake at night. Then I would write down 3 to 5 of those problems and describe in detail how I would fix them if I got the job. At the end of the first interview, I just handed that paper over. I asked them to pass it to the hiring manager if they consider me for the next round of interviews. And almost every time I did that, I got the job. See, every other guy was selling their college degree. I was selling the cure to their pain. Think about it like this. When you're sick, you don't ask the doctor where they went to school. You just want to make sure the doctor knows about the problem and knows how to make it stop. That is what you have to be for your customer. A doctor, not a salesman. And honestly, this is the best sales secret I've ever learned. You're just solving a problem. The second they believe you can fix it, the sale happens. Look, I know why people get scared of selling. You think it takes years of experience, a long track record, 10 years in the game, but it doesn't. Just remember this rule. If you can explain a person's problem better than they can explain it themselves, they will automatically believe you have the solution. People don't buy because your pitch is perfect. They buy the second they hear their own problem come out of your mouth, said clearer than they ever could themselves. But wait, Just naming the pain itself is not enough. You have to prove that you can fix it. So the next time you email a potential client, do not just tell them what is wrong. Show them you can solve it. Don't just write, "Your video thumbnails are bad. I can fix them." At it. But if you want to free up your time, you eventually have to pass it on. Look, if it's too hard to let go at the moment, use the 10-80-10 rule. You do the initial 10%. Then someone else does the 80%. Then you sail back in and finalize the last 10%. 80% done by someone else is 100% awesome. Number 3, marketing. When you get busy with your main thing, like baking in a bakery, it's also hard to focus on marketing at the same time. You need to hand this off to someone else so that new customers keep coming. Number 4, sales. You're the best person at selling your own stuff, so this is the one that's hard to let go. Keep closing while everything else gets handed off. And when you're ready, train someone to close like you and let it go too. Number 5, leadership. If you decide to grow your business even further, this is the last step. You hire leaders to manage the marketing team, the sales team, and any other team that you have. If it's a restaurant, you might have several chefs, so you hire one head chef to lead them. When you reach this level, other great people are running your business, and it makes money without you having to be there every single day. Now, here's the big question. How do you make sure all these people you just hired can do the job as good as you? If you want them to execute without dropping the ball and ruining your reputation, you have to build a system. That I will explain in Part 8, System. The biggest mistake small business owners make is falling in love with what they sell. Your true product is not the coffee you brew or the videos you edit. Your product is your business system. Let me repeat that, because that's the secret to true freedom. You are not just selling a product. You are building a machine that delivers it. To do that, you have to shift from working in your business to working on it. So, step back, look at your business from above, and ask, how can I get this machine to run without me being there all the time? Pretend that you're going to franchise your business. Pretend your business is a model that you will copy and create 5,000 more businesses like it. Not almost like it, but just like it. Perfect clones. Think of McDonald's. When you order a burger at McDonald's, either in your city or when you're traveling somewhere, you will still get the same taste. Any 18-year-old kid who doesn't even know how to cook can work there, and you still get the same burger. So how on earth can they make the same burger as every other McDonald's worker on the planet? Because nobody is relying on those kids. They're relying on the system. Every step is written down. The patties are the same size and shape. The pickles go in the same pattern, so they don't slide off. None of that lives in somebody's head. It all lives in a system, and the employees just follow it. That's the whole secret to a business that runs without you. And here's why this matters. If your business success depends on hiring experts, it'll be hard for you to succeed. Experts are hard to find and expensive. But when you build the right system, someone with the right background can do it. For example, if you need an accountant, you don't need the best accountant in town. A less experienced one can do just fine. Now, to build that system, you have to document everything that you do. Let me show you step by step. Step 1, record yourself doing the task. For me, I like to use Loom since it captures both the screen and my face. If your business has nothing to do with laptops, for example, you own a coffee shop, you can have someone take a smartphone, record you on how to make the coffee, so that next time your staff can make the coffee exactly like you do. Explain what you're doing and why you did what you did. It will help your staff to understand you better. You might be doing this for so long that most of the things come to you, just like that. So easy. So you need to put yourself in a beginner's shoes and explain everything in detail while you do the task. Step 2, turn it into a document. Once you have your recording, get it transcribed. Take your video to AI and use this prompt. Can you convert this transcript and draft a step-by-step process for me? That's it. AI will create your first draft documentation in 60 seconds, not hours. Don't worry about making it perfect or fixing what's broken. Just document what's already working. We'll learn how to fix it in step 4. Step 3, create a checklist. A checklist is the high-level items that must be completed every time. The checklist is the what. The first document that you created just now is the how. So pull out the important stuff into a short checklist. The must-do items, the things that have to happen every single time. For a coffee shop, opening up might look like this. Turn on the espresso machine. Start the coffee pot. Write the special on the board. Notice these steps are not too detailed. They simply capture the high-level steps involved. Step 4, test your system. When you're about to do a task you've documented, open up that system and follow it step by step, even if you think you remember how to do it. This feels awkward at first, but it's how you catch mistakes and improve the process. Then, give it to someone and let them do the task without your help. Wherever they get stuck, don't just yell, "Why can't they get it right?" But ask, "How do I fix the system so this never happens again?" Maybe you skipped a step. Maybe something that's obvious to you never made it onto the page. Maybe the explanation is too complicated. So, make sure you make it easier, not harder. If a system feels like extra work, it needs to be simplified. All right, let's do a quick recap of everything we've covered in this video. Number 1, idea validation. Get 3 customers who pay you straight away in 2 days. Don't create a logo or a website yet. Number 2, positioning. Don't enter a price war. Use eliminate, reduce, raise, and create to build your own space in the market. Number 3, premium offer. Create a premium offer so good that people would feel stupid to say no. Do these 3 things. Sell the outcome, not the product. Make it feel fast and easy, and stack your offer. Number 4, marketing. Pick one platform and dominate it. Sell to one type of customer and study them until it gets creepy to the extent that they'll ask, "How did you know?" Number 5, sales. In sales, you're selling the cure to your customer's pain. See yourself as a doctor, not a salesman. Number 6, profit. Take your profit first and run the business on what's left. Split your money across 4 accounts: profit, owner's pay, tax, and expenses account. Number 7, buy back your time. In the early days, don't hire to grow your company. Hire to free up your time first. To do that, follow this order of hiring: administration, delivery, marketing, sales, and leadership. When you're free, then you can think about getting bigger. Number 8, system. Your real product is not just what you sell. It's the system that delivers it consistently. Build a business that depends on systems, not specific people. That's it for this video. My whole life, I've struggled with consistency. Setting a goal, quitting, then setting the same damn goal again. And every time I could hear the voice in my head, "If you had just stayed consistent, you'd already be there by now." I thought something was wrong with me. Then I read the book The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, and for the first time, consistency actually made sense. In this video, I'll share 20 lessons from the book that will help you understand why you keep quitting and show you how to build momentum that doesn't break. Number 1, the invisible war. Right now, this exact second, your life is moving. not staying still, moving, either curving up or curving down. You skipped the gym today? You didn't stay the same. You curved down a little. You read 10 pages today? You curved up a little. Here's the terrifying part. The two curves, success and failure, look almost identical at the start. Day 1, the guy eating salads and the guy eating burgers look the same. Day 30, still the same. Day 100, barely any difference. But day 1000, completely different bodies, different energy, different lives. This is why most people stay stuck. They can't see the curve moving, so they think nothing's happening. That's because most days, the curve only moves 0.01%. Too small to notice, too powerful to escape. But something is always happening, every single day. Here's what this means for you. Every day, ask yourself this question. Is what I'm doing right now moving me up or down? Because if you keep making choices that curve up, no matter how small, you will end up at the top. And if you keep making choices that curve down, no matter how harmless they seem, you will end up at the bottom. You just need to win the next decision, then the next, then the next. The war is invisible, but it is not optional. You're already fighting it. Number 2, the easiest problem in the world. Here's the thing about success in anything. The things you need to do are easy. Read 10 pages a day. Work out for 30 minutes. Save a little money each month. You have known this since you were 13. So, if it's so easy, why don't you do it? Because what is easy to do is also easy not to do. Read 10 pages today? Easy. Skip it and watch Netflix? Also easy. Save $100 this month? Easy. Spend it on something dumb? Also easy. And here's the trap. When you skip those small, easy things, nothing bad happens today. You skip the gym, no heart attack. You eat the junk, no weight gain overnight. So you skip again and again. Then 5 years pass, and you look up from the bottom of the failure curve and wonder, how did I get here? The answer, 1,000 invisible skips. Here's what this means for you. Starting today, pay attention to the small choices you make every day. Things like this: water or cola, read or scroll. 1 year from now, your life will be the result of these choices. Don't fall into the trap of thinking the future will magically give you more time or focus. It won't. Life doesn't get easier. It only gets busier. So choose wisely. Number 3, the rocket that failed 97% of the time. The Apollo rocket landed on the moon. It's one of humanity's greatest achievements. But here's what happened before it landed. It didn't fly in a straight line. The rocket was off course 97% of the time. To handle this, the engineers designed a system inside it to bring it back on track every time it drifted. Every few minutes, the system asked, "Are we off?" "Yes." "How far?" "This much." "Correct it." Done. Over and over, thousands of tiny adjustments. It drifted, corrected, drifted again, corrected again, and it still landed on the moon. This is how your success works. You will drift off course. You'll eat the pizza, skip the workout, waste the week, fall back into old patterns. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're normal. And you need to correct it. Here's what you do when you slack off. Fell off your diet? Don't restart from day 1. Just correct today. Miss a week of work? Don't spiral into shame. Correct tomorrow. The winners aren't the ones who never drift. They're the ones who never stop correcting. Number 4, the flywheel revelation. Imagine a giant flywheel, 5,000 pounds, 30 feet wide, massive. Your job is to get it spinning as fast as possible. When you first push, it barely moves, but you keep pushing and it starts moving 1 inch. Then you push again, 2 inches. Your arms are burning, but you keep going. Slowly, it starts to turn. 1 rotation, 2, 5, 10, 50. Suddenly, it's spinning on its own, effortlessly. Someone walks in and asks, "What was the one big push that made it spin so fast? Was it the first push? The 5th? The 100th?" No, it was all of them added together. It's like seeing someone fit and asking, "At which gym visit did you become fit? The first day? The 60th day? The second year?" No, it was all the visits combined. And here's what you can learn. Stop asking, "What's the one thing that'll change everything?" But ask, "Am I pushing my flywheel today?" Number 5, the tortoise lie. You know the story. Tortoise versus hare. Slow and steady wins. Look, there's nothing great about being slow. The key word here is steady. The hare's problem wasn't speed, it was stopping. He sprinted, then stopped. The tortoise wasn't fast, but it didn't stop. That's momentum. Physics says a body in motion tends to stay in motion. Once you're moving, it's easier to keep moving. Once you stop, it's hard to start again. Imagine this. 2 men want to build a business. The first works on it every day. The second one works really hard on Sunday, then stops for 6 days. Even though he does the same total work as the first guy, but they get completely different results. Because when he stops, he kills the momentum. Every time you stop, you start from 0 again. So don't be fast, be consistent. Small, daily action beats big, weekly bursts. Number 6, the reason why your plan failed. One area where I kept failing was my diet. I set clear rules for how much I would eat and made a plan. By the end of the day, I would allow myself small exceptions. 1 slice of cake, 1 apple, an extra banana. 1 small cheat led to another, and every time it happened, I trusted myself a little less. Before I knew it, I had drifted completely off the plan. When I started to analyze why this kept happening, I realized something important. At the root of it was a belief that a little cheating was acceptable. That belief is a philosophy, and philosophy is what decides whether you win or lose. Your philosophy is how you see the world. If you believe small actions don't matter, you'll be inconsistent. But if you believe everything compounds, you'll take every action seriously, and consistency becomes automatic. 2 people can watch the same video, follow the same plan. One builds a fortune, one stays broke. Same information, different philosophy. So stop looking for new tactics. Start examining your beliefs. Do you truly believe that 1 focused hour a day compounds? Or do you believe you can skip today and fix it later? Change your philosophy. Keep going even when you don't see results. See them or not, the results of what you do every day are coming. Number 7, the bad days secret. Even positive people have bad days. Jeff says some mornings he wakes up in a funk, life feels heavy, he doesn't want to get out of bed. When this happens, the first thing he does is count his blessings. Like, I have people who love me. I have great relationships. I'm healthy. I have a great business. I love what I do. But sometimes the funk still doesn't go away. And here's what he learned. We need to embrace the bad days too. You can't know happiness if you've never felt sadness. You can't understand love if you've never felt loneliness. Now here's what you can do. When the funk hits, don't pretend it isn't there. Embrace it. But don't let it stop you completely. Take 1 tiny action, 1 page of gratitude, 1 push-up. It's not about feeling good every day. It's about moving forward even when you don't feel like it. And when you push through those hard days, you'll be surprised by what happens. Just yesterday, after working on this script, I had to go to the gym, but I was so exhausted. I wanted to lie down and pretend I was dead. The last thing I wanted to do was train. But somehow, I pushed myself to go and train for at least 20 minutes. And guess what happened? It turned into one of the best training sessions I've ever had. The lesson for all of us is this: bad days aren't a signal to stop. They're a reminder to take one small step forward anyway. Number 8, the farmer's secret. Ask a farmer, can you plant a seed today and harvest tomorrow? Of course, no. There's a step between planting and harvesting. It's called cultivation, and it takes time. You plant, you water, you wait, you protect, you wait more. The seed is underground, invisible. You can't see growth, but it's happening. Then, after a full season, you harvest. Most people want to skip cultivation. They join the gym, plant, and expect abs in 2 weeks, harvest. They start a business, plant, and expect profits in a month, harvest. When it doesn't happen, they say, this doesn't work. No, you didn't work long enough. Look, your job isn't to harvest yet. Your job is to cultivate, even when you see nothing. The farmer doesn't dig up the seed every day to check if it's growing. He trusts the process. Can you? Number 9, the shoe shine woman's mistake. One day, Jeff went to get his shoes shined. The woman shining his shoes was friendly. While she worked, she mentioned her daughter, a cheerleader who had won a competition. There was a summer camp she dreamed of attending. But her mom couldn't afford the uniform, the flight, and the tuition fees. As Jeff listened, he noticed something next to her stand, a novel. She loved to read novels when there were no customers. And Jeff's heart sank. He thought, what if she had spent those 5 years differently? Not romance novels, but 10 pages a day of Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, or The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, or any other book about money, business, and mindset. She'd have a completely different mind, different life. Most people never do this. In fact, over 80% of people don't even read one finance book a year. 10 pages a day equals 3,650 pages a year. That's 12 to 15 life-changing books every single year. Imagine you do this for 5 years. That is 60 life-changing books. Most of your friends won't even read one. The lesson is simple. You're already filling your spare time with something. The question is, what are you feeding your brain during that time? Junk content builds a junk mind. Quality input builds a quality life. Number 10, the 80% who disappear. When Jeff's daughter entered college, she was intimidated by the smarter students. So Jeff told her, just show up to class every day and study for 2 hours a day. 3 weeks later, she called, Dad, remember that class with 400 students? Only 80 are showing up now. That's how the world works. In just 3 weeks, 80% were nowhere to be found. 4 years later, she graduated at the top of her class. Not because she was the smartest, but because she stayed when everyone else left. The lesson for you is this. Your competition isn't as scary as you think. Most people quit in month 1. They get bored, they get distracted. If you just keep showing up, you win by default. The secret isn't being the best. It's keep showing up every day. Number 11, the frog problem. 5 frogs sit on a lily pad. One decides to jump off. So how many are left? You probably answered 4. And that's wrong. There are still 5. Why? Because that one frog just decided to jump. He didn't do it. He's still there, thinking about jumping. Think of this. You've decided to start the business. You've decided to get in shape. You've decided to change your life. You've watched the videos, read the books, made the plans, but you haven't moved. You're still on the lily pad. Here's what you need to learn. The journey doesn't start when you decide. It starts when you do. So do the one thing you've been deciding to do. Not tomorrow, today. You have to jump off the lily pad. Number 12, the incomplete vampire. There's a hidden force draining your energy every day. Not your job, not your commute. It's everything you haven't finished. That unreturned phone call, that half-done project, that person you owe an apology. Every incomplete thing in your life is like a tiny vampire, sucking your focus, draining your momentum, pulling you backward into the past. You can't move forward while you're chained to 100 unfinished things. Now, here's what you can do. Make a list of everything incomplete in your life. Every unpaid debt, every unkept promise, every unfinished task. Then kill them, one by one. Not all at once, one per day if needed. Clear the past, release the vampires. That's how you get your energy back. Number 13, the integrity test. Integrity is what you do when no one's watching. Imagine this. It's late at night, you're tired and hungry. There's a burger place nearby, fast and easy. You promised yourself you'd eat clean this week, but no one's watching. And one meal won't ruin your life. And technically you're right, but here's what's really happening. You're deciding who you are when no one's watching. And that's what integrity is. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, when it's hard, when no one sees, you build self-trust. Every time you break it, even small ones, you chip away at your foundation. And you feel it. That quiet disappointment. That voice saying, you always do this. Here's what you can do. Avoid saying, just this once. Win the private battles, because who you are in secret is who you really are. Number 14, the reflection trap. Most people plan forward. They write to-do lists, but then they don't do it. Here's a better system. Don't just plan forward, but also reflect backward, daily and weekly. Did you do the things that matter, or did you just stay busy? This reflection shows how committed you've been. Here's how to apply this to your life. At the end of each day, review your day. At the end of each week, review again. Reflect and see if you did the things you said you would do. If you messed up today, don't get discouraged. Tomorrow is a new day. Rehearse in your mind how you'll react differently if a similar situation shows up again. What you track, you improve. Number 15, the price of not paying. Jeff once joined a softball team. They traveled a lot for tournaments, and they practiced hard. He was really excited to be a part of the team. One time, he suffered serious losses in business. He knew he had to do something. It was time for him to rebuild his life. And to do that, he had to pay a price. The price was to let go of one of the things he loved the most, the softball team. His teammates were stunned. You're really leaving? Yes, because the time he was spending on games was time he needed to invest in his future. Now ask yourself this. What's the price you know you need to pay to improve your life, but you're still avoiding it? Maybe it's distancing yourself from certain friends. Maybe it's putting the phone down instead of scrolling late into the night. Look, success has a price. Sacrifice, discomfort, delayed gratification. But not succeeding also has a price. Regret, mediocrity. What if? Skip the work now? Pay with regret for decades. Pay the price now. Enjoy the freedom forever. Number 16, the health first domino. Every successful person I listen to says the same thing. I started making more money once I got in shape. And honestly, it makes sense. There almost seems to be an inverse relationship between the size of your belly and the size of your bank account. The fitter you get, the fatter your bank account gets. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. When your health is dialed in, everything else just gets easier. You think more clearly. You have more energy. You feel better about yourself. Your confidence goes up. So here's something practical you can do. Figure out what your doable number is for daily exercise. 15 minutes? 20? Whatever it is, commit to that every single day. For Jeff, for example, he chose 35 minutes. If he told himself it had to be an hour, he'd skip it on busy days. But 35 minutes? No matter how packed his schedule is, he can always make that happen. Take care of your fitness. Not because fitness is the end goal, but because it's the foundation. When you build the foundation, everything else rises with it. Number 17, the baby who refused to crawl. Watch a baby learn to walk. They stand up and fall. They rise again, walk a bit, and fall again. And they keep pulling themselves up. Even though they keep falling, they never say, "Walking isn't for me. I'll just keep crawling forever." They don't know about giving up, so they keep trying until they walk. Now look at you. How many things have you quit because you fell a few times? The business that didn't work the first year, the skill you weren't immediately good at, the habit you broke and never restarted. Ask yourself, what have you stopped trying? Get back up. Number 18, the 3-step formula. Most people overcomplicate goals. They create 47-step systems, vision boards, quarterly reviews, Notion templates. Then they do nothing. Here are the only 3 simple steps you need. Step number 1, write it down. Some people just think about what they want, but only when you write it down, you start taking it seriously. Write it specifically, just one goal, not just get rich. How much is rich? When do you want it? For example, I will earn $10,000 a month by December 2026. Step 2, look at it every day. Life will distract you. Sometimes you'll drift. When you look at it every day, you'll remind yourself to get back on track. Step 3, start with a simple plan. You don't need a perfect plan, you just need a simple one to get you started. Take the first step and do it every day. Let it compound. Here's what you need to do now. Take a paper and write down one goal. Number 19, the pull of the past. Try this experiment. Sit down. Look at the floor. Think about your life for 5 minutes. Then clear your mind, walk around for a minute, and sit back again. But this time, look at the ceiling. Think about your life for 5 minutes. Here's what most people found. When you look down, you think about the past. And when you look up, you think about the future. People on the failing curve are pulled by the past. They walk through life looking backward. If only things were different, I would be successful. If only I'd started earlier. Meanwhile, people on the success curve are pulled by the future. They're looking up. They don't ignore their past entirely, but they use it as a tool to build their future. What's possible? What can I build? Where am I going? Look, you can't change the past, but you can change the future. Learn your lesson from the past event and move on. Number 20, givers versus takers. There are 2 types of people in your surroundings: energy givers and energy takers. Energy givers brighten the room as soon as they enter. They make others feel better. Energy takers dim the room. They make others feel bad. Complaints, gossip, negativity. Look, you can't change a taker. Don't try. You can only run in the other direction. Here's what you can do. Audit your circle. Who gives you oxygen? Who takes it? Spend more time with the givers and protect yourself from the takers. One last thing. Remember when I said that over 80% of people don't even read one book a year? Most of them will never even find this channel. But you did. And you stayed till the end. That already puts you in a different category. If you want more book summaries like this, hit subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss the next one. Have a great day. A few weeks ago, I was reading Kiyosaki's book called Cash Flow Quadrant: Guide to Financial Freedom. There was a small paragraph that got my attention. In that paragraph, the author said that successful business owners increase their expenses, but successful employees increase their income. To me, this didn't make sense at first because I couldn't understand how increasing expenses can be a good thing for a business owner, but increasing income is a bad thing for an employee. I'll explain the reason in the following minutes, but first, let me tell you that if you have read Kiyosaki's books, you probably know that most of his books repeat the same information over and over. He usually gives 80% fat and 20% meat to his readers. In other words, 20% of information is usually new, and the rest is repetitive. So, I will try to give you the meat only, packaged as top 9 lessons. Lesson 1. Why don't you get a job? Kiyosaki says after several attempts to become a millionaire, he finally did it, but very quickly lost it all and became homeless. He was forced to live in his friend's house and barely had enough money for living expenses. During those hard times, he would often get this question: why don't you get a job? Even though he and his wife both had enough qualifications to get a nice job at many companies, Kiyosaki says he always refused it because he never wanted to be on the wrong side of the cash flow quadrant. Most likely you already know Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, but let me quickly summarize it. According to cash flow quadrant, people are divided into 4 categories depending on how they earn their money: employees, self-employed, business owners, and investors. The author thinks that it's a poor choice to be on the left side of the cash flow quadrant because on this side, you have to work hard and pay high taxes. Plus, if you want to become rich, then it's very, very hard to do it on the left side. That's why Kiyosaki never wanted to get a job, because it would automatically put him to the left side. On the right side, business owners and investors pay very low or no taxes because by law, they can spend first and pay taxes on whatever is left. This is completely opposite to employees who pay taxes first and live with what is left. Kiyosaki says that successful business owners increase their expenses, but successful employees increase their income. As I said at the beginning of the video, to me, this did not make sense at first. Well, the reason is that if you want to increase your income as an employee, you have to work very hard. Plus, the biggest problem is that when your income goes up, taxes go up as well. You share a big portion of your hard-earned money with the government. On the other side, business owners focus on increasing their expenses because they get 2 huge benefits. First, by increasing their expenses, they reduce their taxable income and end up paying very low taxes. Second, if you look at their financial statements, you will see that most of their big expenses are directed toward buying assets, which bring them additional income. To put it simply, what goes out from the expense column shortly appears in the asset column and generates additional income. As a result, they keep increasing their assets and earnings while paying low taxes. The author says if you want to understand where the company or person is headed, it is enough to look at their expense column. If the majority of your expenses goes out to buy liabilities such as TV or a phone, then you're basically sending your soldiers to a war where you know they'll be killed. On the other hand, if your expenses are directed toward buying assets, then you're sending your soldiers to capture more soldiers for your army, who would in return also work hard to capture other soldiers. If you are disciplined enough, this process can turn your small army into an empire. Kiyosaki says once a reporter asked him how much he earned during the last year and how much he paid in taxes. When he responded that he earned $1 million and paid 0 taxes, the reporter simply could not understand how it could be possible. After a few days, the reporter published an article titled, "Millionaire Earns Millions but Pays 0 in Taxes." The reporter thought that he was doing something illegal, but in reality, he was just following the law. These days, it's much easier to become rich legally than trying illegal ways. It would be foolish to try something illegal while there are many legal and easy ways. If you want to move from the left side to the right side, you need to understand that each quadrant is like a different country where people speak different languages. Before you move, you have to educate yourself and learn the language of that quadrant. If you talk to an employee on the left side, you will see that their main vocabulary consists of words such as job security, good benefits, high income, pension, meal vouchers, etc. However, if you talk to an investor, you will quickly realize that they don't use these words. They use words such as cash-on-cash return, capital gains, PE ratio, OPM, other people's money, etc. As you see, if you want to change quadrants, you have to educate yourself and speak that language in the first place. The author says you might be in the employee quadrant at the moment, but you can educate yourself about the other quadrants and slowly experiment. It's okay at the beginning to be in more than one quadrant. Now, I have a comment about changing the quadrant and becoming a business owner or investor. Many people who read Kiyosaki's books suddenly get excited and want to become an entrepreneur and quit their jobs. But let me ask you this. Imagine I come to you and say, "Hey, would you like to be an Olympic athlete and win a gold medal in your favorite sport?" You'd probably say, "Yeah, I'd love to represent my country in the Olympics, be famous, win a gold medal, and have a great body with six-pack abs. It would be awesome. Sign me up." But before you jump in, let me take you behind the stage for a quick moment and show you what is going on there. Do you really understand how hard you have to work in order to be an Olympic athlete? Do you know that you have to spend 5 to 6 hours in the gym every day, sometimes twice a day? Do you really want to eat chicken breasts and vegetables most of the time? Do you really want to go through all that hard training and possibly several injuries? Do you want to have arguments with your partner for not spending enough time with her? Do you really want to miss your friend's party because you have to go to bed early so that you can wake up early for training? Do you really want to make all these sacrifices to become an Olympic athlete? At this point, you're probably saying, maybe not. I don't want it. I would honestly understand if you decide not to want it. And I am sure others would understand you as well, because the cost of becoming an athlete is too high for you. The example I just gave applies to becoming a business owner and changing quadrants as well. You have to first understand the cost and decide if it is really worth it. Maybe you love your job, earn enough money, and never want to have the responsibility and the stress of becoming a business owner. If that's the case, it's none of my business or anyone else's business to tell you that you have to become a business owner. It's only your business and your business alone. I'm not saying that you can't become a business owner. You can. And I believe it's one of the best things you can try. But before you start, always keep the cost in mind, because it will help you to set your mindset straight and avoid running back to mommy after 5 or 6 failures. Also keep in mind that most probably you don't have the muscles to become an entrepreneur. In other words, you left school with no education about creating and running a business. You probably didn't learn it in your family either. These all mean even higher costs for you. At the beginning of your journey, you'll probably look like a skinny new guy in the gym who doesn't even know how to use a treadmill. As a new guy in the gym, don't try to imitate the big muscular guy and start doing bench presses with 60 kilos. You need simple push-ups and pull-ups. Lesson 2. Why do people want job security so bad? If you look back 150 or 200 years ago, you'll see that most of the people were either self-employed or entrepreneurs. Your grandfather's grandfather probably had a farm and he worked for himself, which means he was self-employed. Or maybe he had a shop with a few employees where they were making and selling axes, which means he was a business owner. If entrepreneurship and self-employment was so common in the past, then what happened now that we are so attached to job security? Kiyosaki says the answer is simple. People were socially conditioned and brainwashed to choose job security over freedom. People are brainwashed so badly that they don't want to work 4 years for themselves, but they are willing to work for someone else for 40 years. Who taught them these things? The common culprits are the teachers, the school system, the multinational corporations, and the media. The value of job security over financial freedom is tattooed in children's brains from a very young age. Was there a course or even a lesson about financial literacy and building businesses when you were younger? Of course not. Instead, you were taught to follow the system, which emphasizes good grades above anything else. The result of this is a loyal and competent employee who cannot think for himself. Today, many students are encouraged to take loans and study in prestigious universities. After successfully paying student loans, they will have an opportunity to start saving for their financial future. But the reality is that they are not taught how to save. They are taught how to spend and borrow. Since they have been depriving themselves for several years already to pay off their student loans, they will start buying houses, gadgets, some luxuries, new clothes, furniture, and automobiles as soon as they get some extra money. Soon enough, they are trapped in debt, plus will get married and have an expensive wedding. And from here, things start to go downhill, and the couple get into even more debt. This is the time when they begin wishing for financial literacy. This is also the time when they realize that they were sold a wrong dream and were taken advantage of by the system. They recognize the fact that if they had used the money they earned at the start of their career in order to start a business or invest, they'd be much better off. Kiyosaki says the primary reason most people have money problems is that they were never schooled in the science of cash flow management. They were taught how to read, write, drive cars, and swim, but not how to manage their cash flow. Without this training, they wind up having money problems and then work harder with the belief that more money will solve the problem. Lesson 3, I don't care about your great product, tell me about your system. Very often I'm approached by friends asking to be part of their new business idea. They usually start talking passionately about their product. They talk about the uniqueness of their product. They say how great it is and how nobody else has it in the market. After listening for a few minutes, I usually apologize politely and pass. Because when it comes to creating a business, most of the time, product is the least important part. The most important part is the system and the people who have experience in that system. People who usually approach me have never created or run a business system. The world is filled with wonderful products that have never been on the shelves because of a poor system. Right now, you're probably saying to yourself, why is this girl talking about the system and ignoring the product? Let me ask you this. Can you cook a better hamburger than McDonald's? You'd probably say yes. Most people can prepare more delicious and better hamburgers than McDonald's, but what most people can't do is create a better system than McDonald's. What makes McDonald's successful is not its hamburger, it is the system. It's the system that brings the meat from the farm to the center of the city where you buy it cheaply. Lesson 4, you can't see money with your eyes. Money is seen with your mind. What is apparent or obvious to the naked eye is not important when it comes to money. The average person is 95% eyes and only 5% mind when they invest. If you want to see money, you need to train your eyes to be only 5% and train your mind to be the other 95%. If there were piles of money sitting in the street, people would run out and grab as much as they can. This is because their level of intelligence allows them to easily know how to see and grab what is physically in front of them. Unfortunately, when it comes to financial intelligence, most people have a low IQ. Taking advantage of the virtual piles of money in the financial system takes a high level of financial intelligence that most people simply don't possess. They have no idea how to go grab the cash sitting right in front of them. The key to start seeing money starts with financial intelligence. For example, if a medical doctor says your systolic is 120 and your diastolic is 80, is that good or bad? Is that all you need to know for your health? The answer is obviously a no, but it is a start. It's the same as saying, my stock's PE is 12. Is this all I need to know for my wealth? Again, the answer is no, but it's a start. Financial intelligence starts with financial literacy, and financial literacy starts with understanding the financial words and numbers. Kiyosaki says he disagrees with those who say it takes money to make money. In his opinion, the ability to make money with no money begins with understanding the language of money. As the rich dad always said, if money is not first in your head, it won't stick to your hands. If you want to increase your financial intelligence, the author recommends playing the cash flow game. At this point, some of you are probably going to say that Kiyosaki's a fraud. He's just trying to sell his game and educational material. Well, I can't tell if he's a fraud or not, but I found his game quite useful. There are several things I don't like about him, but I have to admit that he has good information in his books, especially in the first book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This book has changed many lives for better, and that is something you can't ignore. Lesson number 5, find mentors. A mentor is the person who is sitting on top of the mountain, eating oranges, and laughing at you while you're walking around, scratching your head, and thinking how to climb to the top of the mountain. The right mentor can save you years by helping you avoid things that you shouldn't do in the first place. The author says that even the gold medalist Olympic athletes who are on the top of their games have mentors, but the average person never even considers having a mentor. Choose your mentors wisely. Make sure they are eating what they are cooking. Lesson 6. Know the difference between assets and liabilities. When the bank is giving you a mortgage to buy a home, the bank is telling you that your home is an asset. They aren't lying to you, but they are also not showing you the full picture and telling you whose asset that is. Your home is not your asset. It is the bank's asset. If you don't believe it, look at the bank's balance sheet and you'll see on which side it's placed and to whom cash is flowing. Today, there's a lot of confusion about what to call an asset and what not. In accounting, many of the things are registered as an asset, but in reality, they are not assets. Kiyosaki has a simple formula to identify if things are assets or not. If the things you buy put money into your pocket, then it's an asset. If not, it's a liability. Now, let's do a small test. Let's say you buy 100 shares of company XYZ at $5 per share. Is this an asset or a liability? Well, at first glance, it looks like an asset. But the truth is that you will never know until you sell those shares. What do I mean by that? Let's say you need money and you have to sell those 100 shares. If the price per share goes up from $5 to $6 and you sell all your 100 shares, then you will make an extra $100, which means you can now call it an asset. But what if the price drops to $4 per share? Well, you will lose $100. In that case, you can't call it an asset because it did not put money into your pocket. Today, many people call the liability an asset. It's up to you how you define the asset, but if you want to increase your wealth, then you must make sure that things you call an asset are actually putting money into your pocket. Lesson 7, power of faith. If I come to you right now and say that all the money you want, the dream car, your dream house have been shipped to you and it's waiting in the post office with your name on it, you just need to work hard for a while and then you can go pick them all up. Would you work hard? If you are saying yes, then keep working because what you want is really waiting for you. You need to have rock solid faith that what you are wanting is also wanting you, and it's waiting for you. Faith lets you have the things even before you have them physically. Successful people have strong faith even when they were homeless and were sleeping in the streets. They strongly believe that what they want is already in the post office waiting for them. Lesson 8. How can you see your future? Would you like me to tell you your future? Tell me about the 5 people you spend most of your time with, and I will tell you how your future is going to be. Here's a good exercise to do. Step 1. Write down the names of 5 people you hang out the most with. Step 2. Draw a cash flow quadrant and place the names of each person to the quadrant he or she belongs at the moment. Step 3. See if those people are also heading toward the same quadrant you are, or are already in the quadrant that you want to be. If not, it's time to make some changes. If you want to fly with eagles, then don't swim with ducks. Lesson 9. Be neutral toward winning and losing. To be successful as an investor or a business owner, you have to be emotionally neutral to winning and losing. Winning and losing are just part of the game. The main reason so many people struggle financially isn't because they lack a good education or are not hardworking. It's because they're afraid of losing. If the fear of losing stops them, they've already lost. Most people suffer financially because their emotions are in control of their thoughts. We as human beings all have the same emotions. What determines what we have in life is primarily how we handle those emotions. This is it for this video. If you liked this book summary, then check out the playlist of other books I've summarized on this channel, and thanks for watching. The author of the book, Robert Kiyosaki, says that he has 2 dads. 1, his own biological dad, and 2nd, his best friend's dad. Robert's own dad was a PhD and was teaching at university. His 2nd dad, from whom Robert learned how to become rich, didn't even finish high school, and learned everything in practice by himself. At the beginning, both of his dads earned enough money, but when they died, one died as a richest man in Hawaii and left millions of dollars to his family, and the second one left debt and unpaid taxes to his family. Kiyosaki says earning money is a science, which is not taught to us in schools. Schools teach us how to become an employee and build a career, and because of that, the majority of parents teach similar things to their children and direct them to the same direction, which is becoming an employee. If you are coming from a middle-class family, then there is a high probability that your parents taught you how to become poor. And this is not because your parents don't love you or don't want you to be successful. It is simply because they themselves are not educated about this topic. They consumed expired information, and when you were born, they passed the same expired information to you. Poverty is almost like genetics. It passes on from one generation to another. My parents always advised me to study very hard, get a diploma, and find a steady job. However, when I started to read books like this one, I realized that I learned more from a few of these books compared to my entire university years. If you are also coming from a middle-class family and have not read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, then I strongly recommend you to read it. I wish somebody recommended it to me when I was 14 to 15 years old. So many things could have been positively different in my life if I had read it earlier in my life. In this video, I'm going to talk about the 7 main ideas from the book. The first idea is about the importance of financial education and understanding the difference between an asset and a liability. Understanding this difference is the most important step for becoming rich. Simply put, assets are something that puts money into your pocket, and a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. For example, if you have a car and you rent it out and earn money every month, then it is an asset. But if you have a car and it takes money from your pocket every month for repairs, maintenance, etc., then it is a liability. Examples of assets can be rental properties, company stocks, precious metals, etc. And liabilities are your home that you live in, phone, the car you drive, etc. Rich people focus on increasing their assets, while poor people buy liabilities and focus on their income. Poor people buy iPhone telephones. Rich people buy Apple stock, which is an asset and increases in value over time. But the telephone loses its value the moment you take it out of the store. Growing assets are like planting a tree. You need to take care of it for years until its roots are deep enough to provide shade and bear fruits for your enjoyment. Unfortunately, many people want to get rich quickly without learning about money. That's like building a skyscraper with little or no foundation. And that's why you see people who earn tons of money, but after a few years, they lose all of it. The second idea is this: rich don't work for money. Their money works for them. At a very young age, Robert had his first business partner, his schoolmate Mike. They worked for the rich dad, who taught them lessons on how to make money. The first rule they learned was that the rich don't work hard for money. Their money works hard for them. Rich people use their brain and find ways so that their money works for them 24/7. From a rich person's perspective, every dollar or peso earned becomes a small employee and works hard to earn another one. On the contrary, the poor and middle class are guided by fear or desire. They fear of not being able to pay for their bills, so they work even harder. Or when they earn more money, their desire kicks in and they start spending it on liabilities such as nicer cars, bigger houses, etc. And because of these fears and desires, they don't want to invest their money and time into new opportunities. They are afraid that they will lose their money if they risk it, so they go and buy a bigger screen TV while they already have one. In comparison, a rich person invests his money no matter what, and even if he loses all the money, he is still ahead because at least he learns something, and this knowledge becomes a strong asset for his future investments. On the other side, the TV loses most of its value after a few months, and you end up losing your money anyway. Plus, you lose the opportunity of learning something new. The third idea is about understanding the taxes, accounting, and law. According to Kiyosaki, earning a lot of money does not solve the problems. Learning how to keep that money after you earn it solves the problems. If a rich person earns $100,000, then he keeps all of it. But if a poor or middle-class person makes $100,000, then he is heavily taxed and loses 30 to 40% of it. Kiyosaki explains that in the beginning, there were no taxes, and the government created taxes to punish the rich and give it to the poor. The government used the Robin Hood mentality and people supported it. But the rich were smart and they found legal ways not to pay taxes. One of the big differences is that the poor and middle class earn money, pay taxes on that money, and live with what is left. The rich, on the other hand, earn money, spend everything they can, and pay taxes on whatever is left. The fourth idea, the rich invent money. The author says that each person is born with talent, but that talent is suppressed because of self-doubt and fear. He remarks that it's not necessarily the educated, smart people who get ahead, but the bold and adventurous. People never get ahead financially, even if they have plenty of money, because they have opportunities that they fail to catch because of fear and doubt. Most of them just sit around waiting for an opportunity to happen. The author's idea is that people create luck. They should not wait around for it. He says it's the same with money. It must be created. The fifth idea, work to learn. Don't work for money. Kiyosaki says his poor dad was intelligent, well-educated, and worked for money because job security meant everything to him. Rich dad became a millionaire by working to learn. The author recommends young people to seek work where they will learn more than they will earn, especially in the areas of sales, communication, marketing, accounting, leading people, etc. During an interview with a journalist, Robert Kiyosaki learned that the journalist strived to become a best-selling author. He realized she was a great writer and that she should pursue that. She told him that she had tried, but no one was interested. He accidentally offended her when he told her to take a sales course so she could promote herself. She became defensive. She replied, "I have a master's degree in English literature. Why would I go to school to learn to be a salesperson? I am a professional. I went to school to be trained in a profession so that I would not have to be a salesperson. I hate salespeople. All they want is money." She packed her things. Robert Kiyosaki gently pointed out that he was the best-selling author, not the best writing author. This statement only infuriated her more, and the interview ended. The world has many successful and talented people, doctors, lawyers, dentists, and still they struggle financially. But as a wise business consultant once said, they are one skill away from great wealth. If you took your skill set and paired it with financial intelligence, accounting, investing, marketing, or law, you could achieve great wealth. If that journalist had instead picked up a job at an ad agency to learn how to sell, she could go on to create great wealth with her writing. Rich Dad says, you want to know a little about a lot. In school and at work, you're expected to specialize. Those who earn promotions tend to be specialists. However, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad always recommended the opposite. That's why throughout the years, Robert would work in different areas of his Rich Dad's company. He was expected to attend meetings with lawyers, bankers, accountants. It was essential to the Rich Dad for Robert to know every aspect of creating an empire. Idea number 6. People who avoid failure also avoid success. Most people never win because they're afraid of losing or failing. If you look at the way humans are designed to learn, we learn by making mistakes. We learn to walk by falling down. If we never fell down, we would never walk. The same is true for learning to ride a bike. The same is true for getting rich. Failure is part of the process of success. Kiyosaki says, I look at my money game much like my tennis game. I play hard, make mistakes, correct, make more mistakes, correct, and get better. If I lose the game, I reach across the net, shake my opponent's hand, smile, and say, see you next Saturday. I personally know many people who have tried to create their own business, but have failed and eventually gave up after 3 or 4 failures. It always amazes me how these people expected to be successful after a few trials. Giving up after 3 to 4 failures is like starting to go to the gym to get in shape, but after a few days quitting because you didn't see any results. If you want to get in shape, you need to be consistent. You need to change your exercise routine if it's not effective. You need to try a different diet. You need to try a different trainer until you find what works for you. Unfortunately, people do not apply the same mentality when it comes to getting financially fit. Idea number 7, don't focus on your income. Focus on your assets. The long-term rich build their asset column first, and only then the income generated from the asset column buys their luxuries. The poor and middle class buy luxuries with their own sweat and blood. In other words, if a rich person wants to buy a luxury car, He doesn't buy it right away. He first buys assets, such as businesses or real estate, and if the assets generate good income, he uses it to buy the car. They always focus on the asset first. The fastest way to get rich is to copy. Most people won't do it. Their ego won't let them, but there is a guy called Monish Pabrai who did not care about any of that. He copied Warren Buffett. How he spends his day, how he runs his business, how he makes every decision without ever meeting him. And he made $154 million from it. He calls himself a shameless cloner, and he's quite proud of it. I know you clicked this video for a reason. You have a side business, a YouTube channel, or a skill that you want to turn into real money. Maybe even quit your job and do it full time. But nothing seems to be working. I have been there. And what Pabrai figured out changed everything for me. It can do the same for you. Let me show you how. Imagine two gas stations, right across the street from each other. Same neighborhood, same prices, same gas. One of them is absolutely crushing it. Cars wrapped around the block, loyal customers, making tons of money. But the other one is losing money every single month. What's the difference? Well, the successful gas station wipes your windshield for free, checks your tire pressure, tiny little touches that cost them very little. But here's the thing. The failing station can see this happening every single day. The winning strategy is literally right there across the street, but they won't copy it. Why? Pride. Ego. We don't copy other people. We do things our way. And they go bankrupt. Pabrai read about this and he realized something. Humans have something weird in their DNA that prevents them from adopting good ideas easily. The solution to your problem might be right in front of you. Someone else already figured it out. It's working. It's proven. But you won't do it because you want to be original. Pabrai made a different choice. One day, he's sitting at the Heathrow airport between flights, killing time, and he picks up a book called One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch. He's flipping through it, and he comes across something about Warren Buffett. Now, Pabrai knew nothing about investing at this point. He was just an engineer. But he reads that Buffett was making 31% a year for over 40 years straight. Most investors can't even get 10. So right there in that airport, Pabrai has one thought. This guy has figured out the investing game. What if I just copy exactly what he does? Not try to be smarter than Buffett, not try to improve on his methods, not add his own brilliant twist. Just copy everything. No shame, no ego. So Pabrai goes home and starts studying Buffett like it is his life's work. He reads everything Buffett ever wrote, watches every interview, reads every book about him. He starts going to Buffett's annual meeting every single year for over 20 years straight. He copies everything. How Buffett structures his business, how he spends his morning. He even starts reading 5-6 hours a day and working completely alone, the same way Buffett does. And over the years, he starts making millions. Then, in 2007, he decided to actually meet Buffett. Every year, Buffett auctions off a lunch for charity. Pabrai and his friend pay $650,000 just for lunch with Buffett. People thought they were insane, but Pabrai saw it differently. In Hindu culture, there's a concept called Guru Dakshina. It is a gift to your spiritual teacher when your education is complete. Buffett had taught him everything, changed his life, turned him from an engineer into a millionaire without even knowing Pabrai existed. None of that would have happened if Pabrai had not been willing to shamelessly copy in the first place. If cloning is this powerful, why is almost nobody doing it? Pabrai has a very simple answer. They are not as shameless as me. They have more ego. To be a great cloner, you have to leave your ego at the door. And ego shows up in two ways. The first is the originality trap. From childhood, you are taught copying is bad. Schools call it cheating. You get punished for it. But here is the reality. Almost every successful person started by copying. They just don't advertise it. Sam Walton, the guy who built Walmart, the biggest retail chain on earth, used to walk into competitor stores with a notepad and a pen, scribbling down their layouts, their shelf arrangements, how they placed their signs. He called it the best part of the job. But most people are too embarrassed to admit they copy. Pabrai does not have this problem. Someone asked him, Pabrai, why don't more people clone like you? He said, they have too much ego. I don't care if you think I am unoriginal. I care about winning. That is it. He's not trying to impress you and me. He just wants results. The second way ego shows up is more sneaky. Even when people try to copy, they dip their toes in for a week and give up. Pabrai says, these damn humans hear something and say, good idea, maybe I will use it. That does not work. You have to go 10,000% or nothing. But here's what most people misunderstand about cloning. They think it means becoming a mindless copycat. It is the opposite. Pabrai cloned from multiple sources. Buffett for investing, Munger for thinking, Graham for principles, philosophers for life decisions. He took the best from the best and put them together his own way. And the funny thing is, by cloning from so many sources, he actually became original because no one else combined those pieces the same way. Pabrai says, I have no original ideas. Everything is cloned. But nobody else put those pieces together the way he did. This brings me to the most important part of this video. I did not make this video just to tell you about Pabrai. I made it to help you. Almost every single week, someone comes to me, a friend, a subscriber, asking me why their channel is not growing, why their business is stuck, why nothing is working. And every time, it is the same problem. They're trying to be original before they understand the rules of the game. Let me show you what I mean. A few months ago, a friend of mine came to me for advice. She runs a short-form YouTube channel where she shares food recipes. I look at her channel, and honestly, everything looks clean, polished, well-edited. Then I ask her one simple question. Can you show me the top competitors in your niche? She pulls up one of the biggest channels in the space. And the moment I look at it, I notice a few important things. They have no subtitles, no music. They never put the recipe for the food on the screen. Every video is around 30 seconds. And most importantly, every single video was on a topic that was already proven to get views in that niche. But my friend, she was doing the opposite of all of it. She was adding subtitles, music, putting the full recipe on the screen. And on top of that, she was picking topics based on what she thought the audience wanted. So I asked her, why are you doing this differently? And she says, well, I think adding the subtitle and recipe makes it more useful for the viewer. Plus, I want to create something original. I don't want to be a copycat. And this is exactly where beginners go wrong. Because that creator, the one with millions of views, that's not an accident. That person already figured something out. There's a reason there are no subtitles, no music, and no recipe on the screen. They probably tried all of those things. And the data told them it does not work. But beginners come in and think, I know better. I will do it my way and improve it. No, you will not. Not yet. And this really drives me crazy because in real life, nobody would ever do this. Think about it. If you wanted to become a barber, you would never walk into a barber shop on day one and say, hey everyone, I have never cut hair before in my life, but don't worry, I am going to figure out my own way. Of course you would never do that. Instead, you would find the best barber you could, you would stand behind him and watch how he holds the scissors, how his wrist moves, how he tilts the customer's head, how he talks to them while he works. You would copy everything. And only after weeks of doing it this way, once your hands actually understand the craft, then you would start experimenting. But as soon as people start a business or a YouTube channel, they skip this step completely. They do not learn first. They do not copy first. They just reinvent. and then they wonder why nothing works. By the way, my friend actually listened and started cloning what works. 3 months later, she proudly shows me how many views she got. One video hit 100,000 views. Then another crossed 500,000. She did not invent anything new. She just stopped trying to be original and started cloning what was already working. And now she is slowly starting to experiment with new things because she already understands the basic rules of the game. All right, so let's get practical. You want to clone? Here's how. Go back to what Pabrai did. He did not pick 5 investors and grab a little from each. He picked the one, the absolute best, and he went all in before he branched out. That is what you need to do. Find your Buffett. If you're a YouTuber, find the one channel in your niche that is doing better than everyone else. If you're starting a business, find the one person who already built what you are trying to build. Pick one. And once you find them, do not just skim the surface. Pabrai did not just watch one interview and call it a day. He read every letter, went to meetings for 20 plus years. He was not trying to get a summary. He was trying to understand how Buffett thinks. What principles are behind every decision he makes? And here's the part most people skip. The boring parts. Everyone wants to clone the big flashy insight, the one golden idea. But success is not one big insight. It is 1,000 small decisions that stack up over time. How you structure your morning, how you handle distractions, how you protect your time. It's like going to the gym. You can't just do the exercises you enjoy and skip everything else. It doesn't work like that. You have to do the whole program. Same thing here. Clone the whole system, not just the parts you find exciting. Then, and only then, you are allowed to adjust. So, if you are out there right now trying to build something and nothing seems to be working, stop for a second and ask yourself one honest question. Am I copying what already works or trying to be original before I have mastered the basics? Because chances are the winning formula is already right in front of you, but you refuse to use it. Thanks for watching. And if you think this video might be a help to a friend or family member, please share it with them. Have a nice day. There's really only one lesson you need to learn to understand the entire economy. Stop looking at what is visible. Start looking at what is not. Let me show you what I mean. A kid throws a rock and breaks the baker's shop window. The baker runs out. He's furious. There's glass everywhere. A crowd gathers. And then someone says, actually, this is good for the economy. Now the baker has to pay someone to fix the window. That guy takes the money. He goes and grabs lunch at a restaurant. The money starts moving. Jobs are created. This kid didn't cause damage. He just helped the economy. The crowd thinks about it, and slowly, they start nodding. But here is what everyone missed. The baker was going to buy a new suit that afternoon. Now he can't. So yeah, the repair guy got paid, but the tailor got nothing. The suit was never made. The crowd saw the window, they missed the suit. And that is the trick. That is how almost every bad economic idea in the world works. They show you the window being fixed. They never show you the suit that was never made. Today, I'm going to show you how this same trick is being used to fool you about your taxes, your job, and even the money in your pocket right now. Let's start with the first lesson. Imagine you live in a small village. Fixed amount of money, fixed amount of stuff, bread, milk, clothes. Prices are stable, life is normal. Then overnight, the mayor secretly gives $10,000 to 3 of his friends. Next morning, they go to the market first. They buy everything at normal prices. But by afternoon, sellers notice everyone seems to have more money. So prices start rising. By the time you show up after work, everything already costs more. You didn't get any of the new money, but you are paying the new prices. This is exactly what happens when countries print money. Inflation doesn't hit everyone at the same time. The people connected to power get the new money first. They spend it before prices move. By the time it reaches you, the prices will have already moved. Printing money looks like help. The government has more to spend. People get paid. That's the window being fixed. But every dollar printed makes your existing dollars worth less. That's the suit. That is the invisible. 2. Machines do not steal jobs. In the 1800s, workers in England broke into factories at night and smashed the newly invented weaving machines. Machines that could make clothes faster and cheaper than any human. They burned buildings, threatened inventors, because they were terrified. These machines, they believed, would take every single job and leave working people with nothing. Were they wrong? In the short run, no. Some of them lost their jobs. That part was real and painful. But here's what happened over the next 27 years. When the machines arrived, the whole cotton industry in England had about 7,900 workers. 27 years later, 320,000. The machines did not steal jobs. They created 40 times more of them. Here's why. Think of a lemonade stand. You squeeze lemons by hand. Exhausting. You make 10 cups a day. Someone gives you an electric juicer. Now you make 100 cups a day. You make more money. You buy more lemons. So the farmer does better. You buy more cups. So the cup maker does better. You buy more ice. The ice shop does better. You hire a friend to help. So that is a new job. One machine, ripples going everywhere. Now you might be thinking, okay, but what about AI? And look, AI is different. A truck carries more boxes. A calculator does math faster. But AI can write, think, design, code, all of it at once. That is new. But people panicked about every single invention. The factory, the car, the computer. Every time they said, this is the one that destroys work. Every time they were wrong. Will AI be the first exception in 200 years? I honestly don't know. But I'm not ready to bet against a pattern that has been right every single time. And look, whether it's AI or any other machine, the argument is always the same. Machines are only good if they don't take jobs. But by that logic, we should stop using trucks and make people carry everything on their backs. Actually, why stop there? Give everyone a spoon and make them dig roads by hand. Think of all the jobs that would be created. We would have zero unemployment. We don't do that because we're not crazy. The goal is never to keep everyone busy. The goal is for people to live well. Food on the table, time with their family. Jobs are how you get there. They're not the point. The jobs the machines took, that is the window being fixed. Easy to see, easy to cry about. The hundreds of thousands of new jobs that came after, that is the suit. 3. War doesn't grow the economy. After World War II, experts looked at the bombed cities of Europe. They said something shocking. This is actually good for the economy. Look at all these destroyed buildings. They will need to be rebuilt. Think of the construction jobs. Think of the demand. This destruction is going to create a boom. And people believed it because it sounded logical. It's the broken window trick again. Think of it this way. Your house burns down. You spend 2 years rebuilding it exactly as it was. Are you richer? No. You're back to where you started. Meanwhile, your neighbor spent those same 2 years building the second house. Now he has 2 and you have 1. Those workers that steal those cranes, they could have built something that didn't exist before. A hospital, a factory, a school. Instead, they're rebuilding what was already there before the bombs fell. You're not richer. You are back to zero at best. Destruction doesn't create wealth. If it did, We would just bomb our own cities whenever the economy slowed down. But we don't do that because we know it is insane. But every time a natural disaster hits and someone says, well, at least think of the rebuilding boom. That is the broken window right there. 4. Government spending doesn't create jobs. Imagine every week your mom takes $10 from your pocket. She says, don't worry, I'll spend it for you. Here's the problem. You knew exactly what you needed. New shoes, a book for school. Your mom buys a decoration for the living room. It looks nice. Guests compliment it. But your shoes are still falling apart. This is what happens with government spending. The money doesn't disappear. It gets spent. Just not by you. You know your life better than anyone. You know what is urgent and what actually needs fixing. The government doesn't know any of that. They spend to look good, to win votes, to cut ribbons in front of cameras. That is how a city gets a brand new stadium while the roads outside your house look like the moon. The stadium is right there. Visible. Impressive. But the school that never got repaired, the business that never got started, you never see those things because they were never allowed to exist. The stadium is the window being fixed. Everything that was never built, that's the suit. 5. Taxing the rich hurts the poor. Imagine you and a friend make a bet. If you lose, you pay the full $10. If you win, you only keep $4. The teacher takes the other $6. Would you make that bet? Nobody would. The risk is not worth it. This is what high taxes do to businesses. When a business fails, it loses everything. When it succeeds, the government takes most of the profit. So business owners stop taking risks, stop expanding, stop investing. The result? Fewer businesses open, fewer people get hired, prices go up because there's less competition, poor people suffer the most. The government wanted more money, but by taking too much, it killed the very thing that was making money. The tax money collected, that is the window being fixed. The businesses that never started, that is the suit. 6. The forgotten man. Now I want to introduce you to someone. You've never met him. Nobody talks about him. Nobody puts him on the news. But he has been paying for everything in this video. His name is the forgotten man. Let me show you who he is. Your friend Jake forgot his lunch. He's sitting there hungry. Your teacher feels terrible, so she walks over to you, takes half of your sandwich, and gives it to Jake. You did nothing wrong. You packed your lunch. You followed every rule. Jake is happy. The teacher feels wonderful. And you are sitting there with half a sandwich and still hungry. You did everything right, but you are the one who paid. That is the forgotten man. The forgotten man is the grandfather who saved his whole life and watched his savings disappear when the government printed more money. He is the young person who could never find work because businesses stopped investing when taxes got too high. Always paying, always invisible, never thanked. And here's the thing. Every single bad economic idea in the world is just someone making Jake visible and making you invisible. Remember the baker from the start? The one who couldn't buy his suit? You've been the baker this whole time. You're always the one who loses the suit. So next time someone shows you the window being fixed, the bridge being built, Jake eating a sandwich, remember the suit. Remember the things that were never built. Remember you sitting there hungry. The bad economist sees what is visible. The good economist also sees what is not. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, there really is one thing you need to learn to understand the economy. Stop looking at what is visible. Start looking at what is not. That's it. That's the whole thing. The book that taught me all of this is called Economics in One Lesson.